know that instead of waiting on hold, you can quickly and easily request a copy of your report, submit a dispute, and find any other helpful and important.
Hello, my Tisha King family. How is everybody today? This new apartment's just killing me. Just a second. Well, it's very confusing. They fucked up my income. I just want to take a look at it. Anyway, sorry about this. $56.29, $15. So they fuck up my income. There's insufficient income. But when I talked to the girl at the apartment, I said, I'm retired. I get Social Security. She said, fine. And then credit report, let's see, complete, each property. I don't know if they're using this because they're telling me the income's fine with my collectibles, which is my gold and silver. So they do a credit check. Well, it shows I pay on time. That's mostly a credit check. So I don't know what it is. Yeah, I guess like criminal stuff. So I meet property requirements, no sex offender, no criminal record. Payment history meets requirements. I don't know. It's frustrating. But anyway, should be okay. So they're going to check it. I should know today. I'm hoping for a positive. Again, I kind of read one line of it. Everything's good, right? The credit is good on payment. It shows here. I keep telling her, look, it's Social Security, and I have all this gold, this pensions. Like, what's the problem? So I think I'll get it because they have. I was talking to a guy at the swim pool who gave me this apartment, and he said you shouldn't have any problem. And I keep saying, I've been here 4 years. This is my Easton Hall. I've been here 4 years, and I made every payment, and it's higher. What are you worried about, right? You're 1,200, they're 1,600. So I said, I have already gone. I'm coming to you. I just want to get it official. So I think I'll get it today. She said I should get my answer. But I'm reading it wrong. I'm reading it as I don't have enough income because it's just Social Security, but with my credit. And I told her, look, I have this golden. So they didn't do that right. I put 5,300 a month. And they divided it by 12 instead of seeing it as monthly. So it said like 480 a month. It should say 5,300 a month. So again, yeah, it's a little. I'm the type that likes to get things done. I don't like to procrastinate. Like I'll start packing as soon as I get the okay, and I'll call a mover. And that's the thing. So I'm waiting to hear that. And then I don't have to look, otherwise I'll have to look for other places. Now I know everything's good. My credit report, everything else. So it's just simply a matter of the income. But because I told her I got the gold, I told her I got like 100 grand in gold. Like, what's the problem here? I go, I've made every payment, and the Social Security will cover it. And I'm trying to defend, like, my income's fine. I'm here at 1,600 and I'm fine. So that's kind of where. And she said, well, we don't necessarily use that. It probably is the background check that they're looking at more than the income. And so she knows I have the gold, and she can hear me like stressing, like, well, look, if you're not going to do it, I got to find some other place that will allow the asset, the coins as assets, as well as Social Security. But with all their vacancies, I can't imagine that they're going to have much problem taking me, since I just paid 4 years here and everything's fine. So anyway, we'll see. Gold's over 52, 52.23. Silver at 89.60. All right. So enough with the apartment. If I don't, I guess the worst is I'll just say, no, you know what? I'm going to stay here. I can obviously afford it. It'd be better. It's just too noisy here. Although with the guy moving out also, then you got to hope the next guys aren't crazies. Or maybe they can move me to a quieter place. I don't know. But that's a worst case. I'll just stay here. Say, you know what? I'll just change my mind. But otherwise, I'll move there. So if I can move there, I'll move there. If I have to check a few other apartments, then I'll do that. But I think this place will take me. Like I said, they're kind of off the path. This guy at the pool is there. He seems to like it and says you shouldn't have a problem. We'll see. I don't know. It's not a full place because it's off the road. It's not really where you know what it is. So anyway, that is where we're at. So again, it's just a little stressful. And again, Alyssa says, why don't you just buy a house? Well, I don't know how I'd get a house. I wouldn't pass that income either. How do you supposed to retire? I mean, it's crazy. But anyway, I think I've always paid on time here, and my credit cards, I think, should be, if they don't accept me on that, and they're sticklers on this 3-time earnings with my credit, then, fine, we'll just stay here. Or I'll try to find a job at the grocery store so I can say, look, here's my income. John C. Low. So anyway, that's what's going on. So I got to calm down a minute. So so the girl at the apartment said, well, we don't use, it's not necessarily it. We just use it. So they're probably not looking at the income part of this report. So we will see, but it'll be nice. I can save $300 a month for basically doing the same thing. Then, I do that, and hopefully it'd be a lot quieter, which is the key for me. A lot of NFL free agency news going on. Yeah, we'll get to that. So, as I say, my title, war is expensive. You've got to pay for the bombs and the missiles. Now you're holding up the Strait of Hormuz, all the oil shipments going through to all these countries, which it'll just go around Africa. So it'll be a longer shipment, but once you start shipping that, it won't be a delay. Just the first time. And then oil prices will go up a little because the cost, but the supply shouldn't be a problem. Now, I don't know, are they shutting down all these Middle East, Saudi Arabia? Are they able to ship oil or not? A lot more goes to Russia. Is this the U.S.'s plan to get everybody to buy U.S. oil? Who knows? The U.S. seems to, Trump's not admitting to, apparently they bombed a school and killed 125 girls, right? And what I hear is, well, they thought it was part of a Navy operation, or used to be, and now it's the school. So they used to have a military installation there. So we probably bombed it thinking it was still there, but it's really not still there. So that's the point. He killed it, but then Trump won't admit to it. Oh no, it was the Iranians. And this guy's such a bad liar. It was the Iranians with the Tomahawk. And then I hear from my military shows, oh no, they don't have any Tomahawks, and Tomahawks are very accurate. So Trump's trying to say the Iranians did it. I mean, this guy's terrible. He should just say, I don't know right now. When I get more information, and then just never talk about it again. Anyway, it's a stupid war. I think he thought that we would just simply go on with the war, and that we would just take out the leader and do what we did in Ukraine and replace the leader with a friendly who will let us get oil from them. I think that's what he, being the bully, he's going to say, well, we're the U.S., we want to do this, we're going to do that, and off we go. And they said no, and the Ayatollah's son is now taking over, and he's more into nukes than the Ayatollah. So again, they'll be careful with nukes because nobody wins nukes, and the Russians and the Chinese just want to do business. They don't want to nuke everybody. I don't know if we want to nuke anybody, or we tend to go after these smaller countries like Venezuela and Cuba, which probably couldn't field a punt return team. So anyway, I got to calm down. So good news, gold and silver finally moving, 52.24 for gold. So it's finally blown through 5,000. It's finally blown through 5,100. And now we're at 5,200. And now silver's moved from 80 to 89 real quickly the last few days, up $5 today. Well, I always question that. It was probably 86. I don't know where they take it. I think it's a 24-hour span, and we'll see that. And anyway, so 89.48. So it's moving, which is good. So that's what we're looking for. So the war is very costly. You need to get, it's just very expensive. The missiles are very expensive. They're $1 million. The missiles are $1 million. The drones are like 50,000. So if the drones can shoot down the missiles, the team shooting 50,000 versus 2 million for the missiles, we're winning. We've run out of supply, so Trump's trying to end the war, knowing that our supply's gone. And anyway, we'll see what happens. I don't see the war going on much longer because we're out of ammunition, and I don't know if it's Israel fighting Iran and we're helping. Why the hell are we doing that? Oh, because they're all blackmailing everybody because of this Jeffrey Epstein thing, which really makes no sense. So you're a billionaire. You can't get a girl? And so they'd go to Jeffrey Epstein Island and then get videotaped. You're talking billionaires, right? Getting videotaped and then blackmailed. Does that make any sense? I just don't see. If I'm a billionaire, I can get my own girls. What's the problem here? So I don't know. Just seems a bit strange. They're all being blackmailed, and they've got to do what Israel says, and Israel owns all the U.S. senators and congressmen and are making them do it. Oh, we want a war with Iran, so you're going to help us. And we're just saying, oh, golly gee, sounds good. We'll just help you. I don't know. It's hard to know what really is going on, but it's hard to buy a lot of the stuff. Game fixing. So I was watching The Miracle on Netflix. The players now coming back to Lake Placid, and you got like 20, 25 players. The coach is dead, and they're back. The assistant coach is there, and then a bunch of them, I think two of the players died, maybe three, and they're all there, but they're all older now, and they talk about the story. Now, if you're analytical like me, you start going, wait a minute. Let me understand here. And what we know of fixing, was the game fixed? We don't want to believe that because it was 1980 but when you hear everybody talk about it, even the players are going, there's no way we could win. We knew we couldn't win. We knew we had no chance. And they got the win, and it was almost like the Russians let them win. Who benefits from this? Well, if 9/11, there was a bunch of shorts on the airlines because they knew they were going to blow it up, and it was terrorists, and then the airline stocks are going to go down. And if we could see the betting records in 1980, who bet on the Americans? If we can find that. And then we will know, was there big bets bet on the Americans by the Russians, sort of like what happened on these other fixed games. When you get these big bet, well, like the options, right? So if there was a $10 million bet on the U.S., it was fixed, right? No, it's sort of like the Super Bowl III, the Jets in Baltimore. That was a fixed game. That was 1969. This is 1980. So don't tell me they weren't fixing games back then. Nobody wants to hear it was fixed. We want to believe we actually beat the Russians. But as you hear these interviews, there was no way that we didn't beat them. They were going for the gold medal, Russia, in the next game, right? So they're going for the gold medal. They just beat us 10-3. They just beat the NHL All-Stars like 15-2 or something. They're really going to lose this game. And, Tretiak gives up 2 goals and he pulls the goalie, and the other guy gives up 2 more goals. And they're not, Jim Craig plays out of his mind like he's better than Tretiak now. So it's food for thought. Was that fixed? I'm not saying it was. I don't have any proof. I'll try to dig out some betting records. Was there a big bet on the U.S. In that game? Now, the U.S. was winning a lot of games. They beat the Czechs, I believe, who was a real good team. But could they themselves, knowing that they're going to lose 99 out of 100 and them saying, we can't beat this team's too good to beat, how the hell could they beat them then? That'd be like Brother Rice High School beating the Pittsburgh Steelers, the 74 Steelers. I mean, it's not going to happen. Yeah, we did it. If we played them 100 times, the Steelers would win 99, but we did win that one. We won that Super Bowl game. It just, the more you listen to the players, the more the possibility of a fix is even stronger, because they're saying, and watch it, it's on Netflix, they're saying we couldn't win the game. We knew we couldn't beat them. Yeah, we knew if we played hard and, one game out of 100, we could win. If you're and you just lost 10-3 the week before. If you're like that, did the Russians really take them that lighthearted in a medal round game as they're going for the gold medal? Are they really taking them that light, or were they paid off? So the way we talk about it, it could easily have been a payoff. You would think so. DK, that'd be like a high school team beating a college team. No, it would be like a high school team beating a pro team. That's my point, because that's where they were. They were just college guys, and the Russians were pros. The Russians were getting paid. All of them could play in the NHL and be Well, you saw that with the Red Wings, Fedorov and Kozlov and Fetisov and all the offs. The Wings had the Russian 5. They were all on that hockey team. So could they really beat them? Could college players really beat a professional team? And it's just, who just beat the NHL All-Stars, by the way. So it seems very, very unlikely that they could really beat the Russians without a little help. Again, I know it's the way we think here, that everything's fixed. But I guess watching the Netflix, it really goes into that you're not, there's nothing there. So it really goes into, they didn't believe they could win. They thought, oh, well, if we play sky high the whole game, we could. No, that doesn't help. Emotion doesn't help. I was watching a Chuck Noll thing, Chuck Noll's life. And he said, if I have to do a rah-rah speech to get you ready for a game, then I'm going to fire you. That's what he said. You're a pro, you should be ready, and you should play a good game. You shouldn't be needing a pep talk to play. That's why I laugh at the Lions with pep talks and everything from Dan Campbell. I'm like, Chuck Noll did not believe in that. Chuck Noll was pretty stoic, I believe. He was a good teacher, and he got to the point. This is what we got to do to play well. And these are the play. He told Andy Russell, the linebacker, to move his legs, his feet around, and open his shoulder, and that will help him get around the offensive tackle when rushing the quarterback. And he's like, what good is this? And then he did it, and he got through like a couple of sacks. And he says, wow, That's what Chuck Noll did, but he wasn't a rah-rah guy. But that's kind of the point. The college team is not beating the 74 Steelers, especially in the playoffs, right? So they're going to take it. So it just opens the eyes that this Russia thing is, did they really beat them fairly? Did Russia really play their best game, or did they lie down? But knowing what we know now, very easily could have lied down. So I'm going to see if there's any betting. Did anybody bet the 1980 American team? Was there a big bet made? Because there was a $1 million bet on the 68 Super Bowl, the Jets and the Colts. The owner of Baltimore made $1 million bet on the Jets because the league wanted it to merge. So it was more like, I don't think they cared, but they just wanted to say, yeah, look, the AFC is good, so we can merge them. Because again, they didn't want competition. The Jets signed Namath for $450,000, and so with the competition comes higher salaries. So that was one thing that they didn't want. So anyway, just food for thought. I was watching that. Here's a poker hand I want to show you. I was watching this poker hand, and I'm going to explain it.
$426 billion in delinquent property taxes in the United States. Today we're going to dive into a really interesting ad from the WSOP main event, where Vanessa Selbst, one of the most talented players in the entire world, in my opinion, has to decide if she wants to fold the second nuts in a spot where nobody would fold the second nuts.
Are you serious right now?
Let's get into the hand.
And a lovely pick-me-up for Vanessa in early position, pocket aces, and a raise to 400.
Vanessa works with the Urban Justice Center, which provides legal services for the poor in New York City.
Bowman with pocket sevens on the button makes the call. Rosen folds.
Perfect opportunity to play with two lovely women.
Noah Schwartz calls.
This hand starts off in a relatively straightforward way. Vanessa Selbst opens with aces. Good play. Gail Bowman calls on the button with pocket sevens, and Noah Schwartz calls in the big blind with Jack-8 offsuit, which is slightly pushing it, but I would call there as well. I think it's like right on the cusp.
Three-way flop. Yikes. Set over set, and Schwartz with the only flush draw.
Then they head to the flop, and this is where it gets interesting. Ace 7-5, three clubs. Both Selbst and Bowman flop a set, and Schwartz has the Jack of clubs for the only flush draw present. At this point, we know there's probably going to be a big pot played. We just don't know exactly how. Let's see how they decided to handle it.
Noah checks, and now to Selbst with a set of aces.
Vanessa finally gets a birthday flop.
700 from Selbst. Bowman now with lesser set of sevens.
What a bad spot for her. This is the type of bad luck you've got to avoid to make deep runs at the main event.
She calls Noah Schwartz. And he folds. A little surprised.
All right. I'm going to butt in. So the aces at 400, maybe, but that's the problem. You get two callers. So I would have pushed it. I would have probably bet 700 or 800 on the pre-flop. Then you got the flop. There's three clubs. I can't slow play my aces. Now she bet 700. This looks early in the tournament. Let's say that. And again, I would have bet more with the aces, but because of the flush. So I might have bet 1,000 on the aces. The flush guy folds, and then she calls with trip sevens. Now, the reason I make it 1,000 is, what are you calling with? Why would Gail Bowman call with an ace and three clubs out there? Why is she calling my $1,000 bet? Which I got to make because I don't want, maybe she's on a flush draw. So I got to protect my set of aces. That's not a slow play hand. If you got 2 clubs, maybe you slow play. Or 3 clubs, you can't slow play. Somebody could have flopped the flush. So you've got to be careful there. This is why you don't slow play. But she's not asking the question, why is Gail Bowman calling? All right, let's say it was 700. Why is she calling? There's 3 clubs out there. There's an ace, and I got 2 of them, so she doesn't have a set of aces. Doesn't ask herself why she's calling, which is obviously the big problem here.
There.
No more in the mood for coffee than clubs?
Selps is the first one with a real decision. She can check with aces, and the reason for that would be you block 2 of the remaining 3 aces is less likely that you're up against ace X, which is the main hand you want to get called by, and you're pushing a ton of equity against. Otherwise, you're getting called by flush draws, which have reasonable equity. So checking to let people bluff, or you can bet. The benefits of betting, of course, there is still that ace out there for you to get called by. You can, as we can see here, get money in against weaker sets. And of course, you can either charge flush draws and make them put in money behind, or you can deny equity if they have a middling flush draw, weak flush draw, and want to just fold. Selps does decide to bet. Like
You're betting to protect your hand, moron. This is a professional, Phil Galfond. He's an idiot. And this is like what I struggle with gold and silver guys. You bet to protect your hand, period. I don't care. I don't know what they have. And don't tell me you know what they have. You don't know what they have. You got to protect against flushes. And then what he doesn't understand or explain is you have to understand is why Gail Bowman called that bet with that board. And I got the aces. What is she calling with? Kings, queens?
said, I could go either way. I think it's a pretty good bet. Bowman decides to call. I think this is our only option. I wouldn't consider raising here with middle set. Just doesn't accomplish enough. Then the next decision that's interesting is Schwartz's. So he's got the jack of...
Okay, I would have raised with the middle set, again, protecting against the flush. I mean, is it that far? Am I that far over these guys' heads that they don't quite understand? So in other words, she's got trip sevens. There's an ace on board. And there's a flush on board. You can't call. She needs to raise. I would have raised with trips. Again, not knowing she's got trip aces, but I would have definitely raised. I explained that one hand when the guy was on the flush draw, just like this. There was 3 spades, or there was 2 spades and a heart, and he had 2 spades. So he goes all in with 4 spades. And I call because I now have a set of queens. But I would have bet anyway because I would have tried because of the flush draw out there. So absolutely, Gail Bowman should have raised. With 3 clubs, you can't slow play it. With an ace, you hope Vanessa has ace king or something, and she's going to call with this board. But the 3 clubs have to scare you. You must protect your hand, and this is what I mean by it.
Clubs. This is the 3rd highest 1-card flush draw. He has no pair. 2 people who put money into the pot. He decides to fold. I think it's a good fold. In this case, we can see he actually had the only flush draw, but in a lot of cases, either the bettor or the caller will either have him drawing dead or near dead.
No, he shouldn't have been in the hand in the first place. But if he is in the hand, he should have called there unless he thinks they're on king, queen. So what does he think they have with the 3 clubs out? And you got the jack. So he's assuming a higher one, and he's seeing the way the betting. So right now, I blame Vanessa should have bet more, and Gail should have raised with her set of 7s, again, protecting against the flush.
3rd card now. And another 7. Bowman's long shot has landed quad 7s, which gives Vanessa an empty boat of aces full.
A birthday disaster for Vanessa Selps.
Selps first to act decides to check. This is a really interesting spot, actually, because if you bet small, you can have flush draws come along again, a hand like king, queen offsuit with the king of clubs or the queen of clubs. But if you bet big, those hands are almost always going to fold. Selps has to consider all of the hands that Bowman can have for her overall range. And that's going to be ace X. It's going to be sometimes a couple of high cards with a club. It's going to be made flushes, occasionally the lower sets. The biggest question to me is whether or not Selps thinks that Bowman is going to call the flop with a hand like 7-6 of hearts. 7-6 of hearts, middle pair, no flush draw, with 3 players seeing the flop. I don't think she would. And so I don't think that Bowman's going to have trips here very often. The reason that's important is that trips is one of the main hands you want to check raise against. That said, when you block two of the aces, it's more likely that your opponent's going to have a flush or a flush draw with king queen. So if I'm Selpst, I'm thinking I want to maximize the amount that I make against flushes and 5-5. And I want to try to potentially induce some bluffs if I think that's the best route. And so one option is to bet. If you bet, you are not inducing bluffs. You're probably not going to get raised on the turn by any hand. It's a spot where it's a little harder to get stacks in here. They are quite deep for the pot size, and Vanessa wants to get all in. So I like her decision to check, because this way Bowman is going to be able to bluff with some hands like King Jack with a club. If she ever does have 7x, like 7-6 of hearts, 7-8 of hearts, 7-8 of diamonds, she can bet and probably call a check raise. This is the way to get 2 bets in against a flush. It's the way to get 2 bets in against 5-5. And it happens to be the way to get 2 bets in against quads. So I very much like Selpst's check. Bowman has a very easy bet with quads. You don't want to slow play quads in this spot. I think this is a huge mistake.
Absolutely, I would have slow played quads. I would not have bet my quads. Why would you bet them? All you're gonna do is chase the people out. So since Vanessa took the lead, now she checked. I don't know what she's afraid of, but I would never have bet quads here. This is a check right back with the quads. This Phil Goffin is just an idiot. He's a pro player. I guess I'm a pro player then. Why would you bet? You don't want to. You want to check and then let Vanessa bet the river, because we don't care what pops. She'll bet the river, and then you come in over the top of her. You go all in because she's either got her flush or whatever, but she doesn't have a full house with 7s. There's no way I'm betting when I hit quad. I told you I hit quads a few times, and I never bet when I hit quads till the river. But by checking, I had everybody betting on me. So there's no way I would be betting. I would be betting this from Vanessa's
That a
standpoint.
lot of beginners make. They see a huge hand like quads. They're like, I can't be beat. I don't want my opponent to fold. Okay, I'm just going to check. You need to think about which cards you have and what that allows your opponent to have. In a situation like this, if it were ace 7-5 ace, now Selpst with quads blocks all of the aces. Bowman cannot have an ace, and it's a board on which people are supposed to have a lot of ace X hands in their pre-flop calling and opening ranges. So that's a spot you might want to slow play, because it's really hard to get a lot of action when there are no aces left in the deck. However, on the 7, Selpst isn't going to have a ton of 7x anyways, and really what Bowman wants to target are hands like flushes, and especially ace queen, ace king, ace jack, with or without a club. And so this is a spot you should never slow play pocket 7s. Do not do it. You need the most specific and bizarre read in the world. Don't just auto slow play because you have a huge hand.
I would slow play 100% of the time. I don't know what he's talking about. I don't know what I would put her on, but I know I can't lose. Why would I bet? I want to hide my hand, so I'm not going to bet at all. Never with quads until the river. There's no point in it. I bet 100 and everybody folds. Well, let them catch on the river. That's the idea. Now, Selpst sits there and checks with her full house. Ace is full. Well, she checked. So why would I bet the quads? I would never bet the quads. I don't look at this range and this equity crap and all this shit he's talking about. I don't put people on hands. I let them make their bets, and that's what okay. Why is Vanessa checking? Okay. So why would I bet? Why? There's no reason I would ever bet in this hand. So this Phil Goffin is an idiot. Oh my God.
Vanessa checks it now. Gail Bowman with quad 7s.
Wow.
And a bet of 1,700.
All the chips have got to get into the middle at some point, and all of Vanessa Selpst chips are going to be gone.
So Bowman bets 1.7K, which is about 2/3 pot. And
He bet
it's really
1,700.
important at this point that we start hand reading. And the reason for that is that, spoiler alert, Selpst is actually going to consider getting away from this hand. The only way that you could ever consider getting away from aces full on this board is if you are hand reading and you know how to hand read. So Bowman bets 2/3 pot. What is she
What the fuck does hand reading? What does that mean? Understanding the hand? I don't know if I could have put her on quads, but if I have aces, I'm certainly not putting her on a boat with aces. So I'm putting her on a boat with 7s, at least. But we'll see how the betting goes. I don't know what he means by hand reading. I read the people.
representing? I don't believe she's representing a hand like ace 10, ace jack. It's just too thin to start betting that big after Selfs bets into two players on the flop on this board. So I think Bowman is mostly representing trips or a flush, occasionally some ace queen, but ace queen can't really bet big on the turn, bet big on the river, and expect to put a lot of money in good. This is critically important because if you understand what somebody's representing, then you understand what the other player needs to have to value raise against that range of hands.
Oh, what a hand. Gail Bowman turns quad sevens, giving Vanessa Selfs aces full.
Unbelievable.
Bowman has been raised, as you see, to 5,800 by Selfs.
Okay.
Bowman bets 1.7K. Vanessa Selfs raises to 5.8K. What is she representing now? Selfs is saying, I know that you have trips or a flush in your value range, and so to raise, I need a hand that's better than trips or a flush. She's mostly repping full houses. Full houses being 7-5, 5-5, ace-7, ace-ace. Keep in mind this is the main event, and both of these players are strong players, both assume they have a large edge over the field, and they do. You don't want to be putting a lot of chips in with questionable hands early in the main event against a really strong player because you want to use those chips to take advantage of great spots that happen in the main event because there are a lot of not so strong players. So both these players
Like
are
this
already
guy.
repping very strong ranges. By the time Selfs raises, she's saying she has a full house. I would think that she either has a bluff or a full house, almost always. Another huge potential blunder that you probably wouldn't make, never re-raise here as Bowman with quads, not because you block all the sevens, but because when Selfs takes this aggressive a line on the turn, she's saying, I have a full house or I have a bluff. And guess what? Full houses are going to bet the river, and bluffs might bet the river. They're not going to call if you 3-bet the turn. So let her.
Okay, I would have checked if I was Gail Bowman. Now, if Self is going to 5,800, now I go all in. Right, but I'm going to check back at her. And first of all, rule number one, if you have a flush and there's a pair out, you don't bet it because very easily you could have a full house, right? You could have easily had ace-7 and then an ace and then there's two sevens. So it's very easy to have a full house. A flush is useless against the pair on board. You never get aggressive with the flush against the pair. Just the professor's read on it. But in that hand, if I am Bowman and I bet and Self came over, I would have then went all in. And I know Selfs is going to call me because she just raised to 5,800. Or maybe I make it 10,000. But I'm certainly not going to just call. This guy's terrible. He's hard to believe he's a professional.
Bet the river with not only those full houses, but those bluffs.
Gail Bowman calls. Vanessa thinking, thank you.
But Vanessa is dead to an ace.
The river card, not an ace. No bet.
Okay. Another thing Vanessa's not doing is asking why she's calling. Right? So if I raised it to 5,800 and Gail calls me, the question is, what did she call me with? Why is she calling me? That's really the question. Is she calling me sevens full? So did she see a flop with ace-7? Because you daisied the flop like 400 and then you made it 700. So you hit a pair of sevens with an ace out, and I'm betting you're probably going to fold with the pair of sevens. You're certainly not going to check. I checked and you bet into me. Well, you're not doing that with the 7, a king 7 or 9-7 or whatever it is. So now you got trip sevens on the turn, and she's betting. What are you putting her on, right? Because she doesn't know what you have. So how can she raise if she doesn't have anything? So she's either hit a full house with the sevens or she's got the quad sevens. You got to know the girl. She usually this aggressive when you play with her. I told you the story. I had a straight flush, lost to a royal flush, and I knew I lost. But this was 7-card stud high low, and this was the $2, and I was 16, 17 years old, and I knew I lost. It was very easy to hand read, as this guy said. The way the guy reacted, I knew he had a royal flush because that's all he could have. It's 7-card stud. But again, I didn't fold because I had I had the 10. So if I have the ace 10, just a second. So if I've got to be, if I'm going to be a pro, I've got to ask, why did she call? Is she really going to bluff this board with the flush draw and now a pair on there? No. So that's how you break it down, is why did she call? All right.
Are not an ace. No bad beat jackpot at this table.
In the heat of Las Vegas, a massive cooler for Vanessa Selps.
Selps now bets 16,200 over betting the pot.
The four diamonds river doesn't change much if you're repping a full house, and so Selps is going to fire out a bet here with her full house. She bets 16-2 into 14-3. If we were to look in theory, she should probably go all in the main event, where, like I was saying, chips are so valuable and people really don't want to bust out. I like her bet of just a slight over bet, so as not to scare Bowman out. If she has a weaker full house or a flush, she can still make the call and have enough chips to maneuver and find good spots in the main event. So I really like this play by Selps. Obviously, Bowman is going to raise her quads. Honestly, this is a perfectly played hand by both players. I would not do anything differently, even sitting here from the comfort of my home office and being able to think through it for a very long time.
Bowman knows Vanessa's got something. That's enough to put Vanessa all in.
40,000.
Are you serious right now? Let's see which cards, which suits I have.
So Bowman, of course, puts Selps all in for another 20,000. And note Selps' reaction here. She is not fist pump calling with aces full. She's upset immediately. And she can't believe it immediately because she thinks she's up against quads. And this is something that separates great players from most players. A lot of players here would snap call, would be excited, would think that they're going to win the pot. Almost.
I would have folded if I was Snelps. I don't like Selps at all. I think she's a terrible player. I would not have called. You saw her reaction. She bet what, 16,000, and then Vanessa goes all in. Well, she's not going all in with a 7 ace, let's say, or 7-4 or whatever she had. She's not going all in with that, with the full house like that. She'll probably just, because she's got to be wondering, why is Vanessa betting 16,000? Obviously, she doesn't have a flush, and she can't have a full house with sevens because I got all the sevens. So she's got to put her on an aces full house, and then she's coming all in on her. So Selps should be realizing what she has. She ain't bluffing. You can't, like I say, if it's an aggressive better, you can't bluff it, because you can only bet a weak. You bluff the weak hands, but clearly she doesn't have a weak hand. She raised pre-flop. She's been betting, and she just checked that one, and then I bet, and then she came over the top. She checked raised me, which means she has a strong hand. As you can see how I understand this stuff, the check raise is always a big hand. So now I know she's got a big hand. I would have probably went all in when she raised me the last one. But I disagree with this guy all the way. I would have not bet the quads on the turn. And if I was Vanessa, I never would have called. It's okay to fold, even though it's aces full. You lost to 4 sevens. The key concept is this is a tournament. The idea is to last. It's not to call because you think it's a hand. It's a tournament. You're trying to stay in the tournament. That's the key to a tournament. You got to understand how to play a tournament. You want to last as long as you can. Even if you have a full house aces full, doesn't mean it's an automatic call. When you get Gail Bowman betting like this, it's got to be a fold. And I'll come back the next hand when I'm not up against Gail Bowman, who probably been at the table for an hour, and she's never done this all in stuff. She's probably conservative. She's going to go all in when she's got the goods. and I'm taking the risk. And I think it's a terrible call because it's a tournament. And seeing Gail Bowman, does she even bluff? Who knows? I don't watch her enough to see, but that's the problem. You've got to be sitting there, and there's no way I'd call this bet. Now, first of all, I would have been knowing, like, when I raised her 5,800 on the turn. If I'm Gail Bowman, I go all in, but I don't bet if I'm Gail Bowman. So she checks the turn. I also check the turn because I got quads. Why would I bet? This guy's an idiot. I can't imagine this guy being this stupid.
Always, but not Vanessa Selbst. She knows where she's at in this hand. She knows what each player is representing.
Then why
at
the
this
fuck
point.
does she
So,
call?
like I said on the turn, Vanessa Selbst is repping a full house. Bowman is saying that she has a hand that can beat a full house. What can beat a full house? Well, two hands, quads, or a strong full house that could beat a weaker full house. Notice Selbst says, let me check what suits I have. This is something that probably confuses a lot of viewers. It's important for her to see which aces she has because as she goes on to discuss, she thinks she's either up against quad sevens or ace seven suited. She knows that Bowman wouldn't call pre-flop with ace seven offsuit. And so the only times that she could have ace seven are when they're both the same suit.
Would she call pre-flop with an ace seven? Nobody knows. She wouldn't even have called. And then when you got the ace seven on the flop and you made a big bet with the aces, now you got a set of aces. Is she calling with the pair of sevens? No. So what's he talking about?
Spades and seven of clubs are out there as well as the ace of clubs.
Unbelievable.
Which means that if we ignore Selbst's cards, there would be two ways only for Bowman to have ace seven suited. There would be ace seven of hearts and ace seven of diamonds. So if Selbst looks down and she has the ace of hearts and the ace of diamonds, she would know for a fact that Bowman cannot have ace seven suited. However, if she looks down at the ace of diamonds and the ace of spades, meaning that the ace of hearts is out there along with the seven of hearts, as much as she respects Bowman's game, she's not giving her credit for bluffing here. She doesn't think she's getting bluffed. She thinks she's up against ace seven or 7-7.
Wow.
And why is she calling?
This might be a quick main event for me. I don't know if I'm good enough to fold this. What do you think I have?
What do you mean good enough to fold it? So you're not a good player is what you're saying. You're an idiot. So what are you doing there?
Flush.
I don't have a flush. I'm gonna need a lot of time. I'm sorry.
I think she has a
Vanessa seems
flush.
to know she is beat, but she can't lay this down.
Seven
Why
of
not?
hearts. I mean, ace seven of hearts. Would you shove with ace seven of hearts? If you'd shove with ace seven of hearts, then I'd have to. All right, you could have ace seven of hearts, I guess. So I got to call.
So had Vanessa Selbst looked down at ace of hearts, ace of diamonds here, I genuinely believe she would have made this incredibly sick fold. However, if she looks down and doesn't have the ace of hearts, she knows that Bowman can have the ace seven suited as well as 7-7. They're going to be dealt just as often, played this way, roughly just as often. And because of that, Selbst thinks she's going to win about half the time, maybe a little bit less, as you can tell by her demeanor. But she's getting tremendous pot odds, given that ace seven suited is out there. Just that one combo, she does feel obligated to call. I think she has to call as well for the same reason.
I'd be folding.
And she gets the bad news.
You have quads?
Oh my!
I almost folded.
Whoa! Oh my God!
I wanted a fold. I really did.
I hate the excuse I'm getting good pot odds to call. Well, yeah, I'm going to lose, but my pot odds are good. But I don't have a chance to win because there's no way she played ace seven pre-flop, and then I catch. That's why you bet more pre-flop, right? She bet 400. She should have bet 700 or 800. That way, it wouldn't even be a question. Did she call that with ace seven? No. If she didn't think Gail Bowman was bluffing, do you think Gail Bowman would go all in with the ace seven? If she could even have ace seven, which you've got two aces, there's a third. The idea that she's got the fourth ace pre-flop, are you kidding? The only hand she could have had the way she was betting was quad sevens. So if you were good, you would understand that and you would have folded. Especially if your spider senses are tingling and you go, I know I know I should fold. You fold. You follow your instincts. Forget the pot odd crap. I hate that. Well, the pot odds say I got 2-3 and there's ace, king, queen out there, but gosh darn it, the pot odds are there, so I got to call. I have no chance of winning, but I got to call because of the pot odds. What the fuck is that? That's by far the stupidest play I have ever seen. So the way I play this hand is I've got to fold if I'm Selps. What's the big deal of folding? I'm still in the tournament. So I paid 10 grand in the tournament. I want to stay in the tournament as long as I can. I think there's a chance I'd be fold. I'll get other full houses later on, but this ends my tournament and it's not worth that risk. That's the risk you got to look at. Fuck the pot odds. That's ridiculous.
It's like you're gonna have ace seven of hearts there, so how can I fold? Hey,
What do you mean? How can I fold? She can't have ace seven of hearts. You wouldn't have called the pre-flop, and then when you bet on the flop, she wouldn't have done it. And then on the turn, this other seven came out. So then she could have had a full house, but would she bet the full house? She was stupid enough to bet the quads, Gail Bowman. Gail Bowman should never have bet the turn. And I'm gonna let's tell more on here. Here's my comment. I would never bet the turn with quads. I never would have called the river with the full house. Who's this clown Gelfand?
Full house. Notice Self says, let me check what suits I have. This is something that probably confuses a lot of viewers. It's important for her to see which aces she has because as she goes on to discuss, she thinks she's either up against quad sevens or ace seven suited. She knows that Bowman wouldn't call pre-flop with ace seven offsuit, and so the only times that she could have ace seven are when they're both the same suit. The seven of spades and seven of clubs are out there, as well as the ace of clubs, which means that if we ignore Self's cards, there would be two ways only for Bowman to have ace seven suited. There would be ace seven of hearts and ace seven of diamonds. So if Selfs looks down and she has the ace of hearts and the ace of diamonds, she would know for a fact that Bowman cannot have ace seven suited. However, if she looks down at the ace of diamonds and the ace of spades, meaning that the ace of hearts is out there along with the seven of hearts, as much as she respects Bowman's game, she's not giving her credit for bluffing here. She doesn't think she's getting bluffed. She thinks she's up against ace seven or 7-7.
wow.
No.
This might be a
So the question is, if you know Bowman's game, would she have called with a7? A7 of hearts is she calling, and then three clubs come out, and on the flop, and you bet 400 or 700. Why would you call that? Oh, she hit two pair with an ace and a seven, and there's a flush draw out, and she's just checking. Incredibly bad analysis. I don't like this Snelps guy, girl, whatever she is. See, this is typical Vanessa Self, all in drawing dead. She doesn't know what she's doing. Okay, let's watch this one. So this is Egon, the final minutes of Fiat. This was today, I believe. 12 hours ago. I watched this.
We're coming now to the end of a monetary era. Throughout history, every monetary system has gone to zero. which means that the currency has collapsed. Currency has ever survived in history. And we're now coming to the end of the present dollar-based system, which started really with the Fed in 1913. And the end started in 1971 when Nixon closed the gold window, which means there was no discipline whatsoever. Since there was no gold backing, every government, led by the United States, of course, could print unlimited amounts of money. And the end of a monetary era normally ends in the same way, which means we have unlimited money printing, high inflation, debts going up exponentially, bubble markets like stocks, bonds go down dramatically. What happens when exponential moves start? And this is the example of a stadium filled with water. Starts with one drop, and then a minute later it's 2 drops, and then a minute later it's 4 drops, and it doubles in that manner. So how long do you think that it takes to fill the stadium? A week? A month? No, it takes 50 minutes. But how full do you think it is? 45 minutes. Is it half full, 3/4 full? No, it's only 7% full. So at 45 minutes, the stadium is only 7% full. From 7% to 100%, it just takes 5 minutes. And this is the same with exponential moves. We can see that, for example, in Germany during the Weimar Republic in the early 1920s, gold moved from a few thousand marks around the beginning of 1920 to 1 trillion marks at the end of 1921. And these are the kind of moves we will see now in the next few years. It could be 2 years, it could be 5, 6 years. It doesn't matter. We're going to see moves now of currencies collapsing at a very fast speed. So that is an exponential move down. And remember, they're going to go to zero. So we're going to see the whole bond market collapsing with interest rate going up dramatically. Of course, if a bond collapses totally, the interest is exponential, which means infinity, which means that the bonds are worthless. And that's what I believe. A lot of the bonds, including bank loans, credits, etc., will become worthless because most people, companies, or even governments will not be able to repay those loans. And in this scenario, of course, stocks will also go down dramatically. I normally measure stocks against gold, against real money, because there's no use, as I've said before and shown, there's no use measuring gold against paper money that goes down dramatically. So what are we going to see in the next few years? Well, obviously, as I said, we will see high inflation, probably not hyperinflation like in the 1920s, but very high inflation. And inflation, of course, is not prices going up, it's the value of money going down. And obviously, the metals, gold and silver, will reflect this. So gold and silver will move up by multiples from here. It doesn't matter how high they go in money terms, because as I said, the money is going to become worthless. So again, we got to measure it in real purchasing terms. What also comes with the end of the monetary era is wars, social unrest. And we're already seeing this now, of course, wars in Ukraine, wars in the Middle East, and those wars could sadly extend and become more serious. Now, it's not possible to totally protect ourselves from all of this, but at least financially, for the people who have savings, it's absolutely critical to hold gold and to hold silver and to store it safely outside the banking system in safe jurisdictions. This will be your savior during the coming, first, as I said, monetary explosion and inflation, and then thereafter there will be an implosion, which means that prices will come down and debt will come down. And of course, probably gold and silver will come down also, but it will maintain its purchasing power at that point. So please, please remember to protect yourselves and your family today and for future generations. Hold physical gold and silver outside the banking system. Thank you.
Okay, so we know that's coming. We're all prepared. Buy as much gold and silver. Keep it in the safe. Do not leave it in the bank. Do not leave it in a safety deposit box in the bank. Keep it off to the side. Keep it quiet and keep it physical, and you'll be fine. Back to poker. I just was there, so I wanted to see Egon. You have to critically think and ask the question, why? So in that game, Vanessa made several mistakes. Pre-flop wasn't, now I don't know where they were in the game, but pre-flop needed to be 800 or 900. That would have told you Gail did not call with A7. The other guy called with Jack 9. I don't know what he was doing, but he immediately folded that board, even though he had the Jack clubs. That would have saved Vanessa a lot of money, because the bigger bet, you would have known what Gail does, right? She's not calling you with A7 offsuit or A7 of hearts, probably for $1,000. Do you really even want calls? Probably not. All right. So then you get the set, but then you got a flush draw. So you cannot slow play that. She did make a bet and Vanessa called her. Well, does she really have A7? Does she really have the fourth ace? You've got 2 and there's 1 on the board. So you've got to critically think. So that's what you've got to see. Now, here comes the 4-7 on the turn. What is she calling me with on the flop? Right. So I got to know what she's calling me with. There's 3 clubs, A7. But why did she call me pre-flop? So you critically think it. Most people are calling with a pair. Right. She's not calling A7. She could have A7. No, she couldn't have A7. Nobody's calling a normal bet when you got aces with A7. Offsuit or flutter turn, especially when you've got 2 and the third ace is there. The odds on her having the fourth ace are 0. Well, very, very slim. But she's maybe calling with ace king. She's not calling with A7. And then you bet, and then she calls. Well, why would she call with an offset? Okay, she would have had 2 pair aces and 7s, and but there's a flush out there, and you're betting. So then you get to the turn, and you check. Why are you checking? Are you afraid she's got quads? Why is she betting? That was a terrible bet, because that told me she just hit. Well, there's a pair of 7s out there. At worst case, she hit the full house. So if she hit a full house, really, with A7, I don't think so. 7-5, she's not calling $1,000 pre-flop. The only hand she could have is quads, and she should never be betting unless she's trying to conceal the fact she's got quads. Because if she actually had quads, she would check. So by her betting, she's trying to throw you off that she got quads. Okay, I would have checked the quads. So now we get to the river. Vanessa makes a big bet. Gail comes over the top and goes all in and puts her all in. The way you've been betting is very confusing, because you start 400, then you go 700, then you check the turn when the 7 comes out, as if you're afraid of trip 7s, and then you make this big bet on the river. Now she comes over the top. Why would she come over the top? Is she going to come over the top? She ain't coming over the top of the flush. Not with 2 7s out there. And then, so she's only can have quads, basically. And it was an all-in bet. Is she going all in with, well, first of all, she can't have 7 ace, because she's not calling your pre-flop with 7 ace. And then when the flush hits, okay, she could have had 2 pair. Then she gets her full house, maybe. And you're gonna play rounders where you have the aces full hidden, maybe. But you made the big bet, so now there's no way she's calling you with 7 ace, and she never would have played it. There's no way she has kings, queens. There's nothing else she has. She has to have quads, because there's nothing. You've got the aces, so it's not like she has aces full. That's impossible, because you have them. The only hand she could have is quads, which she would have called pre-flop with a pair, and then she would have saw the flop with the set, and then never should have bet on the turn. And then the river, the all-in what can you beat? Okay, so ask yourself, what can you beat? A flush. Is she going all in with a flush? Not Gail Bowman. So it leads you to the only hand she could have had was quads, right? Because she's never playing ace-7, and then she's not betting 2-pair with the flush out there, and then a 7 comes out. So you got to put her on a full house with 7s, but you can't put her on a full house with aces. So therefore, she has to have quads. Therefore, she makes an all-in bet because she knows she's going to win. And the way she acted, you've got to fold. Are you going to, but you think you've won, which is crazy. So you've got to fold that hand based on her going, you bet, and she goes all in. And it's just the way that people bet, the way she bet it, as quickly as she bet it, I'd have folded. All right, so I fold aces full of 7. I fold pocket aces a lot. I got pocket aces, and the flop comes, and it's, let's say it's 2-7-5, and she's got a pair of 7s, and I make a bet, and she check raises me. Well, I would have been first to act. I would have made a bet with my aces, and then Gail, I think, just called there. So, but that's how I would have done it. I would have reacted to the check raise or the all in, and the way she looked all in. I would have folded my full house without a thought. It'd have been an instant fold. Obviously, I would have said, obviously, you got quads, looked at her reaction and thrown it in. It was very obvious to me. You've got to follow your gut instincts. All right. So that be me. So let's look at, let's go to sports. We've got NFL free agency. Steelers to sign running back Rico Dowdell from the Cowboys. Free agent updates. Steelers sign Rico Dowdell, trade for Michael Pittman Jr., Mike Evans, 49ers reported. Well, who wrote this? A 3-year-old? Steelers sign Rico Dowdell, trade for Michael Pittman. I assume that's the Steelers. Mike Evans, 49ers reportedly agree on deal. Mike Evans from Tampa Bay. Kenneth Walker to go to the Chiefs. So we knew that. I don't know. It was the worst written article I've ever seen. So the Dolphins release Tagovailoa, who has always sucked, who will reportedly sign with the Falcons on a 1-year deal because they got to get Penix back, and they couldn't sign Cousins. He was costing them too much. Travis Kelce is reportedly set on returning to the Chiefs. That's bad news. While Super Bowl MVP Kenneth Walker is reportedly in agreement on a deal to join the Chiefs. So good, you got Kenneth Walker. Bad, you got Kelce again. Kelce's done. He's past his prime. He can't catch anymore. He can't get open. Yeah, he was good 5 years ago, but not now. He's terrible now. They need a new tight end. Wide receiver Alex Paris is set to return to Indianapolis. Who cares? The Steelers are signing running back Rico Dowdell, and Mike Evans is making the move from Tampa to San Francisco. Michael Evans is old. He's a good player. Okay, Brock Purdy, McCaffrey. With 10 teams having hired new coaches for 26 and the shuffle of coordinators that followed, it's sure to be a busy start for the league. Yeah, whatever. NFL free agency, each team's notable departing free agent. I don't care about the departing. I care about, I don't care who's leaving. I care who's coming. So recent releases, Kyler Murray, Geno Smith, who's talk about a high school guy, and Tagovailoa, another high school guy. Along with Aaron Rodgers and Malik Willis, this also looks to be a deep running back class. So Aaron Rodgers will stay in Pitt. Malik Willis signed with Miami, I believe. I don't know what he's going to do there. The This also looks to be a deep running back class led by Super Bowl. He's going to KC. Jacksonville's Travis Etienne. Where's he running to? I mean, these guys are so stupid. You're on a decent team or the coach. Where are you going to? Now you're going to learn a new system and you're going to look like shit. They keep overpaying for these guys. It's ridiculous. Travis Kelce, Alex Pierce, Stephon Diggs, Cameron Jordan, Tyler Linderbaum, Trey Hendrickson, and Mike Evans were the big names entering the open market. I don't know about Stephon Diggs. I don't even know who Alex Pierce is. Cam Jordan, I think he's a linebacker. Tyler Linderbaum, never heard of him. And Trey Hendrickson, who never wants to play. Mike Evans went to the Niners. Kelce, I would not sign if I was Kansas City. So I don't know. Kyler Murray, I mean, he hasn't done shit in years. I don't know if that's a big deal. Atlanta, thank God they got rid of Kirk Cousins. I don't know who would pick him up. He's terrible. Tyler Algier, free agent, and that's about it. Most of these free agents are useless. Signings, Tate Tagliabue, 1 year. Kyle Pitts, franchise tag. This is Atlanta. Austin Hooper, 1 year deal. Nick Folk, the kicker, 2 year deal. And a bunch of nobodies. Baltimore. So they're letting their center go. So they sign Max Crosby, but let their center go. I don't know. Isaiah Likely, he dropped a lot of balls. A bunch of guys I never heard of. DeAndre Hopkins, I've heard of. Kyle Van Noy from BYU. David Ojabo, edge rusher. So they did pick up Max Crosby. Buffalo, Joey Bosa. So he was there for a year. He did nothing. That was a terrible pickup. Mitch Trubisky, they're letting him go. Oh, my God. Brandon Cooks, they're letting him go. And they sign a guard, big fucking deal, a cornerback. Kyle Allen, the backup quarterback, 2 years for $4 million. It's amazing. The starter gets $50 million. The backup gets $2 million. They acquired DJ Moore and a 2026 sixth-round pick from the Bears for a second-round pick. So what you're saying is DJ Moore better than the second-round pick I could make? And I'm not quite sure he is. Because if it's me drafting, I'll find a real good second-round pick. Carolina, Rico Dowdell leaving. We saw that. They did sign Jalen Phillips. He was a backup linebacker on Philadelphia. Devin Lloyd. I don't know where. Kenny Pickett. What are you signing Kenny Pickett for? Oh, my God. Again, you just shake your head with these idiots. The Bears, departing free agents. Tremont Edmonds was a linebacker. Kevin Beard, a safety. Nashan Wright, a safety. Cornerback, and another safety. They had a pretty good secondary when healthy last year. The healthy part's the question. They signed DeMarco Jackson, linebacker, defensive tackle, Neville Gallimore, never heard of him. Kobe Bryant, they got from the Lakers, safety, 3 years, and Devin Bush, Florida State, 3 years, $30 million. So the Bears got their offense going, and now they're trying to get the defense. A linebacker, a safety, a linebacker, and a defensive tackle. Now, they had a pretty good defense before. They had a lot of injuries, so we'll see. Traded DJ Moore because they got the other two wide receivers last year, the tight end and the guy from Missouri. Can't think of their names. Traded DJ Moore and a fifth-round pick to Buffalo for a second-round pick. Why are you giving up a fifth-round pick and DJ Moore? They acquired center Garrett Bradbury from New England in exchange for 27 fifth-round pick. Cincinnati, Trey Hendrickson left, big deal. Joe Flacco, he didn't, as long as Burrow's healthy. Noah Fant and Joseph Osai. So they lost two defensive ends. They signed a guard, Dalton Reisner. Safety Brian Cook, and a Edge Boyle Mafi, 3 years at $16 million. They need a whole lot more help. They need some good defense. And they pretty much had a running back, and you got Burrow and Chase, so you're always in the game. Cleveland, departing free agents, David Njoku, tight end, Devin Bush, linebacker, guard Joel, whoever, another guard, another tackle, a center, the whole offensive line left, or backups, whatever. Signings, defensive tackle, Sheldon Rankins, guard, whoever that is, and a linebacker, Quincy Williams. Trades, acquired Titus Howard from the Texans in exchange for a 6th-round pick. Signed him to a 3 years. So you just signed a guy at $20 million a year, your right tackle, for a 6th-round pick? That doesn't even make sense. Dallas, free agents, Clowney left. A safety, an edge, Dante Fowler, a linebacker, and an offensive lineman. Signings, George Pickens, franchise CAC, Jalen Thompson, a safety, and Sam Williams. Don't know who that is. Trades, acquired Rashad Gary from the Packers in exchange for that. So the Packers have now given up Gary and the other defensive guy for Micah Parsons. So interesting. Denver, free agents, a lineman, a tight end, and linebacker Drake Greenlaw, who they got from the Niners, who didn't play. He's always injured. Don't know why they picked him up. They released him. Signings, offensive tackle, Sam Ellinger, a quarterback. J.K. Dobbins re-signed. Nate Atkins re-signed. And Alex Singleton re-signed. So Denver's happy with their players. They got the championship game. Bo Nix, that doesn't get hurt. This would have been a hell of a Super Bowl, not the one we got. Detroit, departing free agents, Taylor Decker, the tackle, who was there. Linebacker, Anzalone, who sucked. Offensive guard, Graham Gasso. So you've lost a tackle and a guard. Defensive end, Muhammad Ali. Another offensive tackle retired, and another defensive tackle. So you lost 3 offensive linemen, and you're already short 3 offensive linemen. Signings, center Cody Mays, and offensive lineman Larry Brown. Yeah, you're doing one for the who's this Cade Mays? $8 million a year, $14 million guaranteed. You don't even know if the guy's any good. Trades, they traded David Montgomery to Houston in exchange for a 4th-round pick and an offensive lineman who sucks. Great move there. So you basically gave away Montgomery for a 4th-round pick, and because of salary, basically. So a lot of these moves are, I got to get my salary off the books. So that's why it looks like, who's this guy? Why'd you get a 4th-round pick? Because they can't afford a 1st, 2nd, and 3rd-round pick. So they go with the lower picks, who are nothing guys who don't make the team most of the time. Green Bay, Malik Willis went to Miami. Romeo Dowds, offensive tackle. Quay Walker, my guy from Georgia. Oh, they let him go. Pick him up. Defensive end, I don't know. Running back, don't know. Cornerback, Trevon Diggs and Nate Hobbs are both released. They signed Chris Brooks. Who the hell is that? Cornerback, Ben St. Justy. Okay, good for that. Traded Rashawn Gary to Dallas for a 2027 4th-round pick. What is that? So I won't even get the guy till next year. And it's a 4th-round pick who's probably not going to make the team. So I gave up a pretty good edge rusher for nothing. Houston, Joe Mixon's released. Christian Kirk's gone. Sheldon Rankins and Tim Settle. So they lost a couple of defensive linemen. Signings, Dalton Schultz, the tight end, re-signed. Trent Brown, re-signed. Offensive guard, re-signed. Defensive end, Dominique Robinson, 1-year deal. Safety, Reed Blakenson, 3-year, and that's it. Traded, they got David Montgomery. However, the one name that we didn't get rid of was C.J. Stroud. He's still on the team. He sucks. He's the reason you're not going to win. You have a great defense. You better get a good offensive coordinator to teach this quarterback. You're going to run the ball 80 times a game because I don't want you passing. I would not let this guy. If I'm the offensive coordinator, don't even think about throwing. We're going to run the ball with our new guy, with our new best friend, David Montgomery. And I'll bring in the tight end to block. We're going to run Michigan football. We're going to have 2 tight ends and a balanced line. And we're just going to run the ball and beat Ohio State. I mean, that you've got the best defense. Stop fucking around throwing the ball with this quarterback who can't throw. I would try to trade him for get Dagio Pava or somebody. I don't know all the quarterback. Well, let's say I think Arizona, Fajita was a good quarterback. I don't know all the quarterbacks in the draft yet. I know who was good and bad, but I don't know him. But I'd get rid of that. Indianapolis, free agent Alec Pierce, the wide receiver. I don't know. Brandon Smith, a tackle, a safety, and a defensive end. Signings: Daniel Jones, transition tag. Alex. So you re-signed Alex Pierce, Edge Arden Key. I don't know what a transition tag on Daniel Jones means. Trades reportedly dealt Michael Pittman and a 7th-round pick to the Steelers in exchange for a 6th-round pick. What's the point of the 7th and 6th-round picks? Trading Michael Pittman. You don't have a quarterback anyway, so I don't know. A lot of these are money deals, right? My guy's expensive. I get rid of him. Jacksonville. Travis Etienne, he's gone. Devin Lloyd, who's pretty good. I heard of him, and Greg Newsome. You signed a tight end and a cornerback, and that's it. Kansas City released an offensive lineman. They released Pacheco. They released Kareem Hunt. They released Marquise Brown, Jalen Watson, cornerback, Brian Cook, safety, and Leo. So they've got rid of. That's why they got Walker. They got rid of Pacheco and Hunt. So that's a lot of. And Marquise Brown was never any good. Another Ohio State wide receiver who sucked. They signed Kelsey, $12 million. That's a waste of time. Kenneth Walker, 3 years, $45 million. Okay, that's probably what it cost him for the 2 running backs. Defensive lineman, 3 years. Safety and a wide receiver, Tyquan Thornton. He's a re-sign. Who the hell is that? Trades. You traded McDuffie to the Rams for a 1st-round pick. So they'll go after probably one of these Miami or Texas Tech or Ohio State defensive players, would be my guess. So their 1st-round pick will be a defensive player. You've got the quarterback. You've got the running back. You probably need a receiver, which you can get in the 3rd or 4th round from Texas Tech. That's it. Oakland, departing free agents, Geno Smith, Alex Kapka, a nobody, another offensive guard. All I heard about was how bad the offensive line was on the Raiders. Here's 2 offensive guards, you're letting them go. But let's see who they signed. Eric Stokes was a re-sign. Tyler Linneman, 3 years, $81 million. What a waste of time that is. Jalen Naylor, wide receiver. Kitty Pay, don't know. Nakobe Dean from Georgia. All right, I like that already. Quay Walker. Oh, so they're going Georgia West now. Nakobe Dean and Quay Walker were both on that Georgia team. So I'm liking it already. Lindeman's good. You're gonna waste your time. You should be drafting Ruben Bain from Miami, but you're gonna take Mendoza. Big mistake. You have running and you have Brock Bowers. So you got a lot of Georgia guys coming to Oakland. There you go. Now you have a chance. So we'll see. They need a couple of offensive linemen. You've got rid of Max Crosby, so you're going to get that extra draft pick from Baltimore, which is not very high. So we'll see. You've got we've got to see that. But so if I'm Oakland, I get Ruben Bain, I get Daggio later on, and now I got my offense set. I need a few offensive linemen in the 4th or 5th round from Notre Dame or Nebraska or somewhere. Defensively, I signed 2 of my Georgia guys, so now I just need I need Ruben Bain, and then whoever in the secondary. So I'll be better off. Traded Max Crosby, so I get an extra first-round pick, 26 and 27 first-round picks. So whoever I don't get in 26, I'll get in 27. But the problem with Baltimore is they'll probably be with Max Crosby now. The pick's probably going to be in the 20s. Really is not going to help you. You should have got 2 number 1s this year. San Diego. Well, so what you do is you make Baltimore trade. You give them somebody for their number 1, and that number 1 and their original number 1 go. That's how you would have done that. San Diego, free agents. Keenan Allen, gone. A guard gone, a center gone, a guard gone, a tight end, Will Dissly, Deshaun Hand, bunch of linemen. Signings, a center, a fullback, Khalil Mack, they re-signed. Offensive tackle, offensive guard. So they still have Harbaugh. They're still in trouble. The Rams let a cornerback go, another cornerback go. Jimmy Garoppolo, what was he wasting time with him? A cornerback, Tutu Atwell. Oh, they let Tutu Atwell go? I love Tutu Atwell. And another cornerback. So you've picked up a cornerback, and you've got Stafford and Pukanuka. So you're pretty loaded. Signings, safety, Cam Curl, don't know. And Tyler Higbee, extension, and a cornerback, Watson, 3-year deal. And you've acquired Trent McDuffie. So you should have a pretty good defense. That wasn't your problem. Well, Seattle kind of lit you up. You need a pass rush. Maybe they'll go after one of these Miami or Texas Tech defensive linemen. So they acquired McDuffie, and they gave up. They're fucked. They gave up first-round pick in 26, a fifth-round pick in 26, a 2026 sixth-round pick, and a 2027 third-round pick. So as the Rams, you're not going to get any of the Miami, Texas Tech guy in the second round. So you're pretty fucked. But we'll see. You need defensive linemen. You got to put pressure on the quarterback. And to let Sam Darnold light you up, that's your problem. Miami, again, let Tagliabue go. They let Tyreek Hill go. Bradley Chubb's released. How did you lose this badly with – all right, Tagliabue sucks, but with Tyreek Hill and Bradley Chubb and you win 3 games? Jesus. Did you get rid of the coach, I hope? They signed Malik Willis. 3 years, $67 million. I'd tell him to fuck off. $22 million for a backup. Okay. Trades Minkah Fitzpatrick to the Jets. The Jets in exchange for the Chargers 7th round pick. Well, this isn't the you traded him to the Jets, not the Chargers. Minnesota, Aaron Jones is gone. Defensive tackle Jonathan Allen, center, wide receiver Jalen Naylor, and linebacker Eric Wilson. All right, signings, James Pierre, cornerback, who the fuck knows. New England, free agents gone. Stephon Diggs released. I thought he was on Buffalo. Oh, well. Austin Hooper, no big deal. Safety, defensive tackle, offensive tackle. Okay. Signings, Draymond Jones, Reggie Gilliam, Braxton Jones, and Elijah Vera Tucker. So they signed offensive tackle, offensive guard, and a defensive end. What team is this? New England. Yeah, because they're so happy with their left tackle and left guard who couldn't defend against Seattle. So now let's try these 2 guys. They traded their center to the Bears. The Bears. New Orleans, Cameron Jordan. I think we've heard of him. So they let go a defensive end, a linebacker, a cornerback, center, and a tight end. Taysom Hill. Oh, BYU. Well, that's a shame. I wouldn't have let him go. Signings, defensive tackle, Travis Etienne. They signed him from Jacksonville. So you leave Jacksonville and you go to New Orleans. Is that better? Well, you got $52 million for 4 years. I don't know. I think I would have drafted a running back instead of signing Travis Etienne. Guard and Noah Fant. You signed Noah. The Giants, departing free agent. Wandale Robinson. What was he doing on the team? Russell Wilson, you let go. Linebacker, a cornerback, a guard, and somebody that we don't know what position he played. Signings, Gunnar Uzlowski at a wide receiver, tight end Isaiah Likely. Oh, so all he's doing is signing his own Baltimore guys. A punter, you just wasted $12 million on a punter for 3 years. A linebacker, offensive tackle, and a cornerback. Yeah, the Giants aren't going to do much. Jackson Dart will never stay healthy. He doesn't slide. It's a wasted pick. The JETSs let go a guard. Tyrod Taylor, they let him go. John Mechie from Alabama sucks. And that's it. Nick Folk, they let go. Signings, Breece Hall, a linebacker, another linebacker, and a safety. They acquired Mika Fitzpatrick, oh boy, from Miami. Another Alabama guy who sucks. Philadelphia, Dallas Goedert's gone. Jalen Phillips is gone. Nakobe Dean's gone. Reed Blankenship. Wow, you're letting some really good players go. They signed Jordan Davis, and that's it. John C., who should Raiders pick up as quarterback as a backup? I don't know. Steelers, departing free agent Aaron Rodgers. I didn't think he was departing. I thought he's still there if he wants to come back. Tight end, receiver Calvin Austin, running back Gainwell. I like Gainwell. A guard. That's who if I was Kansas City, I'd pick up Gainwell to catch passes. He's good. Safety, cornerback, safety, Jarrell Peppers. Oh, he's gone. He sucks. He sat out the bowl game. I would never have signed him. He's done nothing. None of those guys that sit out the bowl games do anything. Signing. This is who Pittsburgh signing. Asante Samuel. He re-signed. Michael Pittman. Jamal Dean. Rico Dowdell. Isaac Somali and some other defensive linemen. Trades dealt for Colts Michael Pittman. So he's in the trade and the sign. Okay, the Niners, they signed notable free agents. Jennings is gone. Brian Robinson, running back. Sky Moore, wide receiver. They signed Mike Evans and an offensive tackle. Seahawks let Walker go. I would never have done that. Kobe Bryant. So I thought he was on the Lakers. So now you got one on Seattle. He left. Signings. Linebacker Drake Tom. No, who the hell knows? Cornerback Josh Joby. Rashid Shaheed. Now that was a good sign. He was a good quarterback. Good receiver. Tampa Bay, Evans left, Rashid White left, Jamal Dean left. Signings, Kate Otten, Gainwell. Oh, they got Gainwell. That was a good pickup. And Alec Anzalone, he stinks. Titans, tight end, a guard, a defensive tackle, a defensive end, a safety, and a center. They needed a whole, they got Mitch Trubisky. There you go. They got their quarterback. Why is he still in the league and why would anybody sign him? Why isn't he at the grocery store now? Bellinger, wide receiver, Wandale Robinson, a bunch of nobody. Washington, Debo Samuel is gone. Bobby Wagner's gone. Von Miller's gone. Lattimore was released. Boy, pretty strange. They signed Jake Moody, the kicker who sucks from Michigan. He made every kick at Michigan. He goes to the Niners and he's missing right and left. Traylon Burks, the defensive lineman, Drake Johnson, some more defensive linemen, offensive linemen, quarterback Marcus Mariota, and Tim Settle. That'd be your free agents things. Right there. Kenneth Walker goes to KC's the biggest one. Crosby to Baltimore. You still have Lamar. You haven't solved it anything. You're not going to win. You have Derrick Henry. Now you're going to add Max Crosby. Now you're still going to have Lamar hurt 5 or 6 games because he's starting to get hurt more, or he's starting to fake the injuries to do that. Let me get some more water. All right. So you're seeing a bunch of linemen go back and forth. That's meaningless. I like what the Ben Johnson, the guy from Detroit who went to Chicago, has a blocking scheme. That's why all the running backs are always going for big yards. It's the scheme. Just give me somebody you can block. And that's what's missing here. It's like Vanessa Selps not asking why she lost, why I should fall. I'm not smart enough to fold. You're not watching her reaction. So you problem solve it. Why aren't we running the ball? These guys are professionals. I mean, you get rid of your linemen thinking they can't block. Well, are they professionals or not? So that comes back to reading the players you have. Are you good? He's not very good. Then why did you sign him? Why are you signing him if he's no good in the first place? Then you're getting rid of him because you realize he's not good when I'm telling you they're not good. Now, I don't know the read on the linemen, but I can tell you the quarterbacks who suck and the receivers and the running backs, if they suck or not. I can tell you that. Gentry, absolutely wonderful. Walker, absolutely. Zach Charbonnet, great. So you can tell if they're good or not. But that's the thing with the linemen. How do you know if they're good or not? And you're making a lot of mistakes because you keep getting rid of these linemen that shouldn't even be on the team. Look at the Lions. Their line sucked. Well, why is that? Don't you know how to draft? Don't you know how to evaluate talent? Apparently not. They got lucky because they had this Taylor there, and then they had the new guy, Penei Sewell. They got lucky. It was probably a no-brainer from Oregon. He was a high draft. So the Lions are really good at these high draft picks. Get them outside the high draft pick range, and they can't do anything. So I don't buy that the GM's all that. I don't think he's that at all. Coming from the Rams, where they didn't do anything till they got Stafford, and that wasn't him. He traded Stafford to the Rams, so it's not like he was the Ram guy. And to get Jared Goff, what a mistake that is. But you've got to be able to evaluate linemen so you know if they're good or not. But it's not even that. They're all pretty good, right? 3rd round, I get the guy from Notre Dame. He was their left guard, or he was their left tackle, the right tackle, the center. Nebraska, Ohio State, Michigan. Okay, not hard to pick them. You're adjusting that. Obviously, if you made the Georgia team, the Alabama team, the LSU team, they're probably good if they started. So that's your first basis, is they're on a pretty good team and they're starting. Okay. But then you're always getting rid of them. You're always trading them. You know, it's crazy. So we will see. But you see all this mishmash. Then it becomes these strange ones are like the Lions let Montgomery go it was a salary issue because they overpaid Golf and they overpaid St. Thomas and they overpaid the other receiver and they overpaid the running back and they overpaid Hutchinson. And now they're like, oh, we don't have any money, so we got to let our good players go in Montgomery. Then you've got half the offensive line retired, the center's gone, the left tackle's gone, and they're acting like, oh, we didn't know he was going. We didn't know Ragnow was leaving. Really? And what kind of organization are you running that you don't know, that you're not in contact with your guys before the draft going, are you staying or not? And if that's it, then you're not treating them properly where they can't even be honest with you. But that's the Fords. They got problems. So that's where we're sitting at. Does it really matter? Team A lets 3 offensive linemen go and then signs 3 offensive. No, they just don't know how to block. They don't have good schemes. They want to throw the ball too much. The choice of quarterbacks, Daniel Jones, really? You're going to sign that guy to a big contract? Are you out of your mind? Sorry, I don't buy him. It was mostly Jonathan Taylor running. So now I think I have a good offensive line, and Taylor's obviously able to run. Imagine if I had a good quarterback. So that's why we track quarterbacks, but I can read them and most people can't. So like I say, CJ Stroud, if I'm running Houston, he's gone. I'd trade him to Oakland. Oakland, you can have CJ Stroud, and I'll take Brock Bowers. Fair trade. You need a quarterback, and Brock Bowers is good. So that's what I would do. Jackson Dart, I'd trade. Lamar, I would have traded years ago if you won't play wide receiver. And just things like that. Joe Burrow is staying. I'm getting him some defense. And I'm going to Georgia for my defensive guys. So anyway, that's what I'm doing. So we'll keep an eye on that. Let's go to the NBA. Raiders only have one quarterback until they draft Mendoza. Well, they can pick up another crap quarterback. They should go after Kyle Trask. That's who I'd go after. 12 takes on Tatum's return. The Pistons skid in the most dangerous team. Jack Tatum impressed despite rust. The Celtics stifled the Cavs. Should we be concerned about Cade Cunningham and the Pistons? Not at all. They shouldn't. They're not a playoff team. Shea ties Wilt Chamberlain's obscure NBA record. What was that? Should Boozer be in play for the number 1 pick in the NBA draft? Well, he's playing for Duke, so automatically he should be because all the Duke players do well. Jesus Christ. Leonard Powers, Clippers past the Knicks. Ooh, I think we had San Diego last night. Sensabaugh scores 21. Tom Heinsohn makes go-ahead 3 as depleted Jazz stun the Warriors. So now you got to really question that if the Jazz, which are a terrible team, beats Golden State. Now you're saying that whatchamacallit's been out for Golden State. Caldwell. Now what's his name? I don't know. I keep thinking of his father. Anyway, the guy, the star for Golden State. What's his name? I don't know. I can think about it when I'm not trying to think about it. Sharpen Abjai led Nets to second straight win over injury plague Grizzlies. So if we're keeping score, Washington's on an 8-game losing streak. Memphis has a lot of injuries. Detroit's lost 4 in a row. The Jazz are depleted but winning. And Steph Curry, that's it. See, when I don't try to think of it, I can think of it. But when I'm trying to bring it into the sentence, I have a hard time. So Steph Curry. So how does Steph Curry lose to a depleted Utah team, or did he not play? I don't know. Hornets sending draft pick to Heat to resolve Mike Rozier. Watch Rockets defenders helpless versus Wemby reversed. I think that was a couple days ago. So let's check scores. And let's go to Monday. So we have Cleveland beating Philly 115-101 off of the loss to the Celtics. So now that the guy, Cleveland was laying 14.5 and they won by 14. How about that? That's where you need the teaser. I don't know about the money line. If you're laying 14.5, the money line is probably 1,500 to win 100. So I'm not quite sure I'm going there. New Jersey beats Memphis, who, as they say, is injured, 126-115. And they were only laying 1.5 because the Nets stink. They got 17 wins. So Memphis must be really bad to lose to Brooklyn, although the Pistons lost to Brooklyn. OKC 129, Denver 126. And they were laying 3.5. They won by 3. There you go. Is that game fixed? SGA ties Wilt Chamberlain for most consecutive 20-point games. Hardly a record. Like, what a joke that is. When Wilt did it, it was real. Here, it's a joke. There's no defense. So, okay, so Denver played and OKC played. So give them credit there. Utah won at home against Golden State. Utah was getting 6.5. So we'll see Golden State. Let's see if Steph Curry played. And Golden State. Steph Curry did play. He only played 12 minutes. He got 13 points. So I don't know why he didn't start. The guards were Pazuski and Melton. Kind of strange lineup is that. And the bench. So Steph Curry did play 12 minutes, got 13 points. And if we go to the Jazz, they have pretty good bench. Sensabaugh is their power forward, 21 points, 19 by the center, Filipowski. The bench, a guard was 16, Harkless. So they are pretty bad, but these did not play. Probably a bunch of nobodies. Injury. Ace Bailey. He played for the Boston Bruins. Ace Bailey in the 70s. I was watching Bobby Orr and the Big Bad Bruins on ESPN last night. It's like a 45-minute drafting Orr and then getting Esposito in the trade and everything. And the one thing about them is they couldn't beat Montreal. So they lost 68 and they lost in 69 to Montreal. And then in 70, Montreal got upset by the Rangers. So they killed the Rangers and they killed the Blackhawks. And then they beat St. Louis and they swept them. That was that Orr flying goal. So that's how they won in 70. So it's again, are they really that good? Well, they didn't have to play Montreal. Beliveau, Rocket Richard, Larry Robinson, Yvon Cornwallis, Ken Dryden. I don't think he came in 71. I got his rookie card. But they had a good goalie, Montreal. Ferguson, Frank Mahovlich, I think, was on the team then. So they had a good team. All right, back to this. And the Clippers beat the Knicks 126-118, again, West Coast. And again, the Knicks had lost to the Lakers the day before, and I liked the Clippers yesterday. They were a home dog, and the Knicks, again, they're on the road on the West Coast. They're that's why you try to play the better teams at home and or watch the West Coast or the Lakers, the Clippers go east. Be careful of that. It seems different because when you go west, it's like you're gaining 4 hours, you're tired. But when you go east, it's something different. It's harder to go West Coast than East Coast, I think. All right. So that's what we have. Cleveland on off the loss wins. New Jersey beats Memphis, who's injured. Oklahoma, New York, and Denver, good game, high scoring game. Keep that in mind. Maybe these are over teams. Utah and Golden State. Utah wins. They're all beaten up. Steph Curry's injured. He's not playing that much. And San Diego beats the Knicks. Karl Anthony Towns drops 35 on Clippers' defeat. Well, yeah, but that means you don't play defense. So I think the Knicks are an over team. All right, so that was Monday. Let's look at today's games. We got Memphis against Philly. We got Philly laying 2.5. Both teams are injured. Memphis, we know, is injured, and Philly has some injuries that we know of. So I don't know. I like Philly as a home favorite because Memphis is so injured, but Philly's injured. But the role players play better at home. So I like Philly here, 2.5. Dallas and Atlanta, neither played yesterday. Dallas 21 wins, Atlanta 33 wins. Atlanta laying 9.5 against Dallas. Dallas is pretty bad. You'd have to check the injuries, what's going on there. It's a tough one. I don't know, maybe Atlanta, but we got to see who they have. Washington goes to Miami, and Washington's terrible. 16 wins, Miami 36, just killed the Pistons. They're laying 15.5. I like Miami, lay the 15.5. Hornets sending draft pick to Heat to resolve Terry Rozier dispute. Who gives a shit? So Miami should kill them because Washington's playing terrible, and they're going to Miami, and neither team played yesterday. The Pistons go to Brooklyn. Now the Pistons lost 4 in a row, lost to Brooklyn with the big lead in Detroit on Saturday night when I'm playing poker. Detroit's laying 15.5. I would not touch Detroit here. Maybe I go with Brooklyn. They just beat them, so they know how to play them. Detroit's on a 4-game losing streak, so I don't want to bet against the streak. They do get lucky that it's Brooklyn, but this is probably why Detroit's 45-18 playing Washington's and Brooklyn's and shit teams, just like they do in baseball and football. In baseball, they're in the worst division, and in football, they only can beat bad teams. So I don't know here. I'd lean towards Brooklyn over Detroit in this game, but we'll see. But Detroit, I mean, they had a 20-point lead and lost. So how do I can't trust Detroit here. Toronto and Houston, pretty good game. Houston 5.5, 217. Both 36-37 win teams. So I would take the dog here, Toronto and 5.5. Arizona goes to Milwaukee, goes to the Packers. Milwaukee's minus 1.5 again. Is their player playing? Whatever that guy's name is. He didn't play. They got killed last game. Arizona, 37-win team. So if the guy plays, maybe I take Milwaukee. Otherwise, I'm taking Arizona if the guy doesn't play, whoever that Jonas guy is, whatever. Boston goes to San Antonio. Ooh, big game here. 43-win Boston, 47-win San Antonio. San Antonio, 2.5, 222. It's actually on NBC tonight. How about that? A game on Tuesday night. There's another. The Lakers are on. Okay. They're starting to show some. Let's see the earlier ones. No. Fox. Detroit's on the Yes Network. I don't know what that is. See, that's the problem. Let's say I want to watch Detroit against New Jersey. It's not on. That's the problem, right? Why isn't a Detroit game? I'm in Detroit. I can't watch it. Or you want me to buy the Yes Network, whatever the fuck that is. Yeah, it's not going to happen. All right, so San Antonio, Boston. You've got Jack Tatum back in the lineup for Boston. San Antonio, I would take San Antonio here in 2.5. Wemby, they don't seem to be able to stop. And, Boston had to travel to San Antonio, and San Antonio has always been a good home team. Chicago goes to Golden State. Golden State just blew it yesterday to fucking Utah. Steph Curry playing 12 minutes. The Bulls and the Bears. The Bears are 26 wins and Golden State 32, but you just lost to fucking Utah. So it's back to back for Golden State. Golden State's 6.5. I might look at Chicago getting 6.5. You fucking lost to Utah. I mean, that's what I mean. You got to read. If somebody goes all in on me on that board and the way I'm betting, I'd be definitely scared. You can't just say there's a movie Lucky You with Tom Hagen and then Eric Banya. It's a poker movie. So the guy explains this hand to him. He says, here's the hand. He had pocket aces, and the other guy, he doesn't know what he has, but he's betting, and they go back and forth. And then, at the end, the third ace comes out, and there's 3 clubs on board. And so he makes a big bet with his 3 aces, and the guy comes over the top with the nut flush. And without a pair on board, there couldn't be a full house. He calls because he had trip aces, because how can I get away from trip aces? Well, there's 3 clubs on board, first of all, and you bet, and he comes over the top with a huge bet. What do you think he's betting on? And so, again, it's reading the bet. So that's what you got to do. I don't know what it has to do with basketball I'm looking at, but you've got to look at what's going on. I think we're talking about Golden State here. The fact that Golden State lost to Utah, you have to look at that, right? You have to go, they fucking lost to Utah, who stinks, and all their players are out, and they lost. So you can't sit there and say Golden State's really good right now. And they're laying 6.5. So you got to take the Bulls here in 6.5. We'll see what happens. But that's the reason. The team's on a hot streak. They're looking good. You bet them. They're looking bad. You don't. But to lose to Utah, holy shit. All right. And the game was in Utah, to be fair. Charlotte and Portland. Charlotte, 2.5. They both got 32 wins. And Charlotte, I guess, is a good team. I keep seeing them as a road favorite. I don't know who they have. I don't know. Is Clyde Drexler still on Portland? This is a tough one. I think I'd take Portland as a home dog, provided everybody's playing. Indy and Sacramento, they both have 15 wins and 50 losses. Sacramento at home's laying 2.5 to Indy. I think there you might take Sacramento just because they're at home, and Indy is traveling West Coast, so I would take Sacramento. I mean, there's got to be a winner, right? And then Minnesota goes to the Lakers. Minnesota 3.5. They got 40 wins. Lakers 39. It's pretty much an even game. I think I'd take the Lakers as the home dog. Got to respect those home dogs. And that's basketball for today. We'll have to start getting more into. That's why I tried to Detroit's on a 4-game losing streak. Washington's I think we bet against Washington, did we? Wizards. Yeah, they're at the Heat. Yeah, that's our big play today. Take Miami, Washington on an 8-game losing streak, and be careful with Detroit. They're on a 4-game losing streak, just losing to Brooklyn on Saturday. So I think they played Sunday. So this is their 3rd game in 4 nights. And Cade Cunningham is not all that. So you've got to read the teams, read the injuries. Just because there's an injury doesn't mean anything, right? Just because there's an injury, the backup is okay. This is what I was talking about with offensive linemen. With the injury, the offensive linemen aren't really the problem if they're pros. If the guy's good and you drafted him and you check him out and he's good, your problem is not the offensive line, it's the coach, the offensive coordinator, the running schemes. Those are all the problems. Lombardi ran the Packers sweep. and everybody would pull, and everybody. It was a very smart thing. It was you went where the defender went. So if the defender went outside, you push him outside. If the defender was inside, you pushed him inside. You just let the defender, he's either going to go inside or outside, and you push him that way. That was the power sweep. That's why I was so successful. So the blockers, I mean, how hard is it to just block it? So he had good schemes for his blockers, and he had great blockers. But a lot of it is they set up the blockers very well. So that's really what you're dealing with, is understanding that problem. Now, the other problem I see is all these offensive and defensive coordinators going all over the place, and most of them aren't any good. They all do the same play. Let's run that wide receiver screen where it's a bunch of three. Yeah, I don't know that's going to be a wide receiver screen. And then the defense blows it up. It's the stupidest play I've ever seen. How good are your blockers? Well, why don't you put a fullback and a tight end out there if you want to run the screen, and then run the screen with actual blockers, not three receivers who probably can't block. So you got to be careful with that. So I think we now have to go to the next level with not just the coach, but the coordinators. Kansas City's had whatchamacallit as their defensive coordinator for a few years. And God, I just thought of it. No, I just went out my window. Spagnuolo. So they keep him around. That's smart. And then Andy Reid handles the offense, so you pretty much have the same coordinators. So you could draft players that are good for the coordinators. But when, like, the Lions switch coordinators every year, who do you draft? Well, I drafted a guy for Ben Johnson's offense. Yeah, but he's not there anymore. They weren't smart enough to pay Ben Johnson. They didn't pay him a lot. Dan Campbell didn't like him because he made Dan Campbell look bad. And now you can see why. He takes the Bears to win the division, and the Lions don't make the playoffs because Dan Campbell can't coach. Or we don't have the right players for Dan Campbell's system versus Ben Johnson's system. But I truly believe Dan Campbell is a terrible game coach. Clock management, play calling is terrible. Defense is horrible. They're trying to outscore everybody with the dipsy doodle plays and all that. Just big problems. But, both Harbaughs, I think, stink. And I think Sean Payton's the best coach, and Sean McVay's right up there. And then the question is, Andy Reid, is he a good coach? I don't think so. Well, he won. No, Mahomes won. In this day and age, people want to give credit to the coach when it's the quarterback, Tom Brady. Without Tom Brady, Belichick doesn't win nothing. The only way he won is he had Brady. So Brady won. So do you give the credit to the coach for playing Brady, maybe? The same thing you look at with Shanahan in San Francisco. He's not a good coach. He's blown a lot of big leads in the Super Bowl because he doesn't get the concept of running the ball and running the clock down in these big games. We'll see Mike McCarthy at Pittsburgh. That's what has he done that you think he's a good coach? So we'll see. But most of the coaches are pretty bad. Most of the coordinators are pretty bad. You get one that all of a sudden, like the Seattle coach, seems to be a good defensive coach. They look good. Letting their offensive coordinator go is a big mistake. But then he went to Tennessee. He's not going to do anything there. I mean, that's a joke. You need a guy like Sean Payton who's a good coach, right? He's won. He knows what he's doing, and he'll run the offense. And then he gets a good defensive coordinator, and now you've got a good team. That's what you need. But these new coaches, who the hell knows? And then Harbaugh going to the Giants, is that you couldn't win with the team he had in Baltimore for all those years. He's going to win with the Giants. The only player they got is Scatterboo, and then if Malik Neighbors is well enough, well, did he break his leg, or his knee or something. He's not going to come back. I mean, these people think that when the football players get injured, they recover and they're the same player, IKA Hutchinson at Detroit. He's not going to be the same player. He'll never be. He broke his leg. It snapped. He's not going to be the same player as when he was healthy. Mentally, he's going to be in a rough situation. So I'm not buying that. All right. So that's basketball. We'll look at football tomorrow with the free agents. Let's look at gold again. $89.64 silver, $52.28 gold. So let's get silver back in the 90s and gold $52.28. So that's what's good there. So it looks pretty good. All of a sudden, silver's up. So what's the real price of silver? The 80 we started the week with, or this 89? And I'm going to tell you it's much higher than either of those prices. Same thing with gold, $52.28. It's much higher. So again, but that's good. Let's check our stock market. Gas is up, but let's see what gas is at now. Let's check the stock market, the Dow. The Dow is actually up $400. How the hell can it be up? The companies are going to get down. The gas price is jumping. All their things are going to be more expensive. How in the world is it up? Just unbelievable. Shipping taxes just exploded. All right. So that's where we're at. Gold going back to 90, silver or back to 52 and a quarter, and silver we need to break 90 again. Although why did it fall? It's funny how it falls. It's not funny. It's crazy how it falls $10. Why is it 93? And then why does it go down to 83? Is the price 93 or is the price 83? What's the real price of gold or silver? Now it's back to like we're approaching 90. What isn't that the price? See, this is the problem with the bullshit Ponzi scheme of COMEX. You don't really know what the price is. It doesn't make sense because if the price is 90, it should be 90. It shouldn't go down to 80 if the price is 90 because the market would have determined that it's really a $90 thing. But because it's all paper, it goes down so they can make money on their options. So that's not, why are you using that as the physical price of gold and silver when it isn't? So anyway, I applied for this apartment. It was $5,300. And yesterday it was 51. Now we're back to 52. So anyway, hopefully I get it. I should find out tonight or by the end of the day if I get it or not. Apparently I got this. They took it out for like a credit report and it says, well, the income level doesn't make it. But then I called them. They said, well, no, we're just using that probably to look at my credit or my did I pay all my rent? Am I a good risk? I am a good risk. The only problem is the amount, but because I get the Social Security and then I do have the gold and silver, that should be fine. And I paid 4 years here. So plan B is I stay here. I guess I could cancel. Plan A, I get it. Plan B, I don't get it. I try a few other apartments and see if this is going to be a problem on all of them, which I don't know why. And then plan C, I just stay here. If I'm affording it now. I'm just moving out because of the neighbors. I walked by my neighbor yesterday. I was so stoic on him. He was walking in. I was going to the gym, and he wasn't there. I would have thought I was by myself. I never looked at him. My friend said, well, did he look at you? I said, I don't know. I just look away. It's like poker. I don't look at you. And I didn't look at him. I just walked away. I was like, I'm not playing games with you. You're bullshit. That's what you do when there's somebody that you just don't like, or you don't want to say hi to them. You just don't make eye contact. You just kind of look the other way, and you just, that's very powerful, because they get, I don't know his reaction, but he's not getting, everybody likes a hello. You're not getting one. TK, why they asking you? Why they asking me what? What's the question? That's not a question. Why they asking you? The question is what? What are you saying? What are you asking? As far as the Raiders with another quarterback, they'll just get some free agent somewhere. They can pick up. Well, they're letting Geno Smith go. They can Nick Folk or somebody. I don't know. They can draft a guy from Louisville or something. I don't know. It's not hard. So anyway, so there's our goal. So this should be the ace in the hole for my new apartment. Look, if there's a problem, I got this. Because really, how do you retire then, right? So if you retire, you have money to retire. So that should be right away. Should be the green light. Not look at how much money do you make. Well, obviously, Social Security is not going to pay 3 times rent. So therefore, it's, she said, do you have a pension? I said, that's what the gold and silver are. And so we'll see. So I'll be surprised if I don't get it. Again, I kind of quickly read the evaluation. Well, he doesn't make enough money, but everything else was good. But you don't even know. I don't even think they're using that for the money. They know what kind of money I make. And they know it's Social Security, but they know I'm retired. I got to have money. And I paid for 4 years here. So I don't think, I'll be kind of surprised if I don't get it. You need more apartments. Tell them you have gold. Well, no, I've told them I have gold. I had to go to a gold store yesterday. That's why I was a little late yesterday. And I got a paper that said, this is the value. So I got this, which the guy gave me, and he said, here's the value. It's $5,086 for a 1 ounce American Eagle. So I said, I had initially said 5,300. Here it's 5,000. Now it would be 5,200. And so I had to get that to say, look, this is what gold, because they didn't know what gold's worth. So their question to me was, well, what's gold's worth? Where are you getting the 5,300? So I told them spot, and I'll prove it. So I sent them this initially. So I sent him this, and I said, there it is, 52.28. That's the proof. This is spot. This is what the gold's worth. And I didn't have when I go to my store, they give me that sheet, right? And the sheet was like, it was like $3,000 gold 6 months ago, right? So I didn't want to send them that if I'm saying it's worth 5,300. I didn't want to send them one that said 3,300. So that's why I got that one that says it's worth 5,000. So, I mean, what do you do when you're retired? I mean, normally most people have stocks. So if I need money, I sell the stock. I mean, I have assets. They should understand that you've accumulated assets. Normally it's stocks or mutual funds or a real estate trust, or you're on a tack on Wall Street guy. But normally there's assets. Instead of, she says, well, don't you have a pension? I said, I sold my pension. I was in stocks and I sold it, and I got gold now, which is a much better investment because it can't lose money in it. The stock market's going to collapse. I says, but I don't, and I didn't get into that, but I was like, I don't want to hold this. So the prudent play is to get into this. That's the prudent play. And, but again, like it's hard to explain to these people. but I think it'll be okay. They have a lot of openings apparently, and I had to wait till March to do it. And then I told her, well, I've already given my notice here. So I had to give a 60-day notice. I gave it. I'm all set here. I got to return my Spectrum box and receiver, whatever the internet crap is. And then I just got to clean the fridge and mop the floors and, vacuum, and I should be fine. And again, I think I have this place. Now I should have checked into a few more, but it's a good price. It's a good area. It's closer to the gym. So from that standpoint, Nick, these places nowadays require you to make 3 times rent and salary. Well, and that's what I asked the girl when I was checking it out. I said to her, I don't have 3 times salary. I got Social Security. I'm retired, but I have assets. And she said, oh, that's fine. Don't worry, that's fine. So I think I'm okay. Because I keep saying to her, you said that the 2 times for Social Security was fine. So I think what this is, they sent it out and this report came back. He doesn't make 3 times things. So we're refusing him because of his income. But she said, well, we don't look at it. They're probably looking at my background check, and it shows that I paid every month at this apartment, and I've been here 4 years, and no criminal record, no nothing. So I think that's what they were looking for from this company. They know the income, they know the Social Security, they know I have the gold. So I told them I had coins and sports cards, and she said, well, that's fine. That was back in January, so she wasn't worried about it then. Plus, she saw me, so I don't think she was worried, and no criminal or anything. And I've made every rent payment $300 more here, so I don't think they're worried. They're going to look at it, she said, today, and then they should get back to me tonight. I'll probably be in the pool when they get back to me. And then there's no security deposit. I pay a $350 admin fee if I get accepted. So you'd think, now they're not full, so you'd think they'd want. And again, 4 years here, and I've made every payment. So you would think that's the proof right there. He's here. He's made every payment. Why would we worry? Because that's your only worry. Your only worry is, am I going to make the payment for you? And that's Social Security more than makes the payment. So I agree, Nick. It's like you with the Rolex. You're retired, and what's your monthly income? Well, I Social Security, and that's it. But I have a Rolex, which hopefully is worth 40, 50 grand now. I have a Rolex. I have an asset. What are we supposed to do? We accumulate assets to retire on, and then why would we have income? We've retired. I don't have income. I don't. So what? Nobody who's retired will be able to get an apartment because nobody's going to have 3 times income. Aren't you worried that I can pay I've proven I can pay the rent every month. Anyway, so I'll just be glad when this is over. I'm just anal about that. I like to get it. Okay, check. I got it. Here's your $350. Fine. I'll move in May 1st. Fine. I'll start packing. I need a mover to move my table, my couch. I can't put it in my car. And I'll move out, and we'll do that, and then we'll be all set. So that's the key to it. Just I just can't believe, because a lot of people, let's say they are working, they're all getting laid off. The economy is terrible now, and these higher gas prices, and companies are laying off, and everybody's being replaced by AI. And so therefore, who are you going to rent your apartments out to? Because nobody's going to have 3 times rent. And people with a lot of money are buying houses probably, or condos. I'd rather get a condo if I could. So I don't know this 3-month rent as more people retire, because again, the baby boomers, I'm young as a baby boomer. There's a lot older than me. Well, how are they living? Right. So I don't know these apartment. I don't know where they're getting. It's probably AI, right? The 3 times rent. That's probably why they're empty. And where are these people living? So we will see. John C., they don't know gold. Not many do. So how can it take over for the dollar? Yeah, 3 times the price. Bad neighbor. Yeah, my neighbors are terrible, and it's very loud. I hear the guy walking above me, and they'll play their TV loud, and I hear him in the morning. He's, Alyssa thought that he was doing it on purpose. It's just very loud, and I've been here. This will be 4 years, and so he's just been here a year. The first 3 years, I never heard this stuff. It was a lady with her 2 teenage kids and a dog, and I never heard the dog bark. And I never heard them walking on top. Once in a while, they'd have a party or something. And the lady worked nights, so she probably slept during the day and probably had them keep quiet so she could sleep. But had I known that these clowns were there, now the only thing is that the neighbors are leaving in April before me, so they must have had a problem because they signed their lease in July, so they should be here through July, but they're going in April. But then my problem is who's the new neighbors? And if it's as noisy as it is where people are walking, I don't know. I can't take that chance. Plus the other's $300 cheaper, which will come in handy now. It can buy me more silver and, things like if I can save through it. I mean, to me, it doesn't matter. It's an apartment. It's a living room, it's a kitchen, it's a bathroom, it's a bedroom. It doesn't matter. So I'll just gladly move to another one and save $300 a month. It's a prudent play. Now I'm alone, so it's easier. Like I'm not here. A lot of people are here because the kids go to elementary school. It's a very good elementary school or junior high, whatever it is. The schools are good in the city I live, but I'm not here for that. My kids are in their 30s and nobody lives with me. So again, that's it. Alyssa asked me about a house. She says, why don't you just buy a small house? Because she knows I got gold and silver. And I said to her, the housing market's about to crash and gold and silver is about to go through the roof. So how would I buy a house? And then if I don't have the income, so how am I going to get a house? So I don't want to spend a lot. That's the thing. I'd rather spend 300 less and have an apartment. It's a nice area and it's close to the gym. And I'd rather do that and then let the housing market crash. And then here you go. I'm going to buy the house with these 2 ounces of gold. That's going to buy me a $300,000 house because it won't be worth $300,000 soon. It'll be worth 60,000 and these will be 30,000 an ounce. And so 2 ounces will pay and I won't need a mortgage. That's one of the reasons they don't want you in gold because they want you in the stock market because it's all banks, right? Or the real estate trust or annuities. All that is the money, is the paper. And that's why they want you in there. That's why they kind of don't tell you about gold or silver. But it's easy for gold and silver to be money, John C. They don't know gold, not many do. So how can it take over for the dollar? Well, the dollar is worthless. This is worth nothing, but nobody knows that either. So once you realize this is worthless, this is your only play. Because why is this worthless? Because you printed this to death. You got $150 trillion out there. That's the problem. So you have way too much printed, which has no value on the dollar. And then this value keeps going up and up and up. So people will buy gold. I'm not saying they don't know what gold is at this new apartment, but they got to use it as an income mechanism for gold. That's the key. And I put it as per month. I put 5,300 per month, and then I said it's gold coins. So this agency, they put it as like 500 a month, which I don't know where they're getting that figure from, because you got to know, is it an ounce, a half ounce? So I went to this other store yesterday because my guy was closed on Monday, really just for the sheet that shows what gold's worth, to prove gold's value. They don't know what gold's value is. So I proved that. I said, well, here it's 5,100 basically. So I'm saying that, and it's not like your rent's 5,100. And if I did, that would cover 4 months of rent basically. 12, 24, 30. Yeah, it's 1,200. It would be 1,200 a month. So one coin pays you 4 months of rent. That's now. But wait till it goes up to 8,000 or 10,000 an ounce. That's going to pay my whole year. So that's where you kind of, they don't get it. But what are you supposed to do to retire? Well, I don't want to stay in stock. She says, don't you have a pension? I said, that is my pension. And it's just people just aren't educated with it. And that's what we fight when we say buy gold and silver, and they don't get it. They just simply don't understand it. But yeah, the neighbors are, like I said, they're not good. It's just very noisy. So let's put it this way. The neighbors are leaving, but who am I going to get? But and plus save 300. And at the new place, it's more soundproof, I believe. So that'll be fine. And then there's no pool. So I'm not like here, I pay for a pool. I never use it. I go to the club. So they don't have a pool. So that might be why it's open. And then, where it's located, it's fine. It's closer to get on the highway and to go to the club. So it works well for me. But that's what I'm looking at. So that'll be it. So I said, I just want peace and quiet. I just, I'm retired. I want peace and quiet. I want to be able to do class. I want to go to the pool. I mean, that's my life. Go to the grocery store, cook. I do a lot of cooking, and the more you look at the cooking, the more crap that they serve you. And that's really the problem. You go to a Coney, and I don't know what they're probably using vegetable oil. Anything fried is going to kill you. And so you try to do that. But the fasting, so if I do go and they do use vegetable oil, that's why you fast. It cleans your body out. And you just have a little, you'll be okay. Sounds good. Well, that's why I'm like, but I'd like to get it settled. Am I approved or not? And I think I'll get approved. I think I'm starting to understand. Here's where I start being stoic and I go, well, wait, they said I'm not approved because my income. But then when I called the lady, she said, oh, no, don't worry. We're not looking at it's just a source for us. Meaning we're looking at, do you pay rent what's your credit? What's your, are you a criminal? So that's probably what they're looking at here more so than the income. Because when I initially asked her, I said, I don't make 3 times. She said, that's not a problem. So she told me that initially. And I keep saying that to her. You said the Social Security would be fine. And then I'm telling you, I have the gold and silver, which you said is not a problem. So I've already talked to her in January when I was looking at an apartment. So I think I'll be fine. And I think they're just slow. I think because I applied last, the 1st, and we're already at the 10th, and I haven't heard. Now I don't care. And they're probably slow because that's just the nature of the beast right now. But she was waiting on the gold, but she never called me to say about the gold price. Now, maybe she was going to call me yesterday and I called her. She said, well, I need it. So I sent her a picture of these 2 and I sent her the picture of the 5,100. And I think that obviously was good. So we will see. But what do you do? I mean, how do you live in an apartment if you're retired? Because certainly you're not making money, and pensions. So what happens when the stock market crashes? You're not going to have anybody in your apartment, really, because it's a lot of maintenance you're going to pay and a lot of taxes you're going to pay. All right, so that's that. It's 1:46. I'm going to have lunch and go to the pool at 3. I'm so fucked up this week with this daylight savings. I'm just tired. I'm not, I don't know when to eat because it's not, I did have my avocado already. I had that about 10:30, but it's only 9:30, right? So now it's 12:40. It was really 1:40, but it feels 12:40. Anyway, yeah, people will find out about gold. I mean, they'll probably back the money by gold. Well, you have 2 choices. You either come out with more bullshit money that isn't backed by anything that's worthless, or you come out with gold-backed money. Well, everybody will know what money is. I think people know what gold is, but they don't understand the dollar's worthless, and they don't understand gold's limited. because you can't print it. They don't understand physical gold, and they don't understand it's being priced by COMEX by paper. They don't get that. So once they get that, then that's the point of it, right? Once they get that the gold is being price fixed by COMEX and JP Morgan and these guys, once they understand the price is being kept down, then they start buying it knowing, well, here comes BRICS and here's that. So as far as this war, and then we'll end, I mean, it's the oil price is going up, which is helping Russia. China's just buying from Russia now. India is buying from Russia now. The U.S. is delusional. Trump's saying we're winning the war. And you're like, in what world are we winning? Iran's shelling us. We've run out of missiles. They're very expensive. Like you just can't make a Tomahawk missile. You just can't make it. Plus, you don't have silver for it. But even if you do, you can't make it in a week. So why are you going to war if you don't have Tomahawk missiles to go to war with? So it's like going and fighting Hitler, but we don't have any tanks or guns, and how are you going to win? What are you kidding me? You don't have artillery and missiles and bullets. Well, we have planes, which have been shot down, and we have boats. We don't have tanks. And you're going to kill your own men. So what are you doing here? So I think Trump's trying to end it and pull out if he can. All he has to do is just go home. What's going to happen? So I think it's because Israel is controlling us, the U.S., which is the problem. So we'll see. It should end in a week because we're running out of arsenal to use. Anyway, I'll report what happened. So I should know tonight or by the end of the day if I got my apartment or not. I have a good feeling I will after understanding that report and calling her, and she's saying it. She says, well, we'll get back to you. I got to go over it and we'll get back to you. This is how long? She said, by the end of the day. So they want me there. They want somebody who's going to pay them rent. That's the whole point of it. So I think I'll get it. Johnsy, how's it going with Alyssa? I hope things are okay. I haven't talked to her. She sent me happy birthdays on Friday, but I understand Alyssa, and I know Alyssa's in her own little world. So I haven't gotten a call. I need a ride in a few days. So I told her to get that straightened out because she kept saying the guy isn't reliable. He's not coming. I got to get home for my kids off the bus. So normally she calls me like by 12-ish or 1-ish saying, I need a ride so I can get home for my kids. So I haven't heard that yet. But she'll get into her own little world, and I'll hear from her the next time she needs a ride. Because as Stoic says, that's what she is. She's a user. She calls you when she needs something. Now, she actually did send happy birthday greetings, which was nice. That's unusual, but that was good. So that's what you want. Jenna wished me happy. Well, Jenna, her son's been kidnapped in Odessa and forced into the war. So there's a Ukrainian Gestapo, just like Hitler had. And if they see kids out on the street, they kidnap them and they put them in the army, and they last 5 minutes and they get killed in the army. She said she's called the police. The police won't do anything. I says, no, you're living in a military state in the Ukraine. You should not have any of your family member there, but they're really proud. I'm Ukrainian. She'd bring a Ukrainian flag or wear a shirt. I'm Ukrainian. And so she does that. So she's proud. They're very proud people. So it's not like I'm not leaving, but now the Gestapo's out, Zelensky's Gestapo. It's a military country now. It's like martial law. So she fortunately moved to Berlin, which was good. And I helped her with that. But I don't know what she's doing in Odessa now. So she said yesterday that her son was kidnapped by the military, and they're going to put him in the army. And I told her, have him surrender to the Russians. They won't kill him. So he's going to have to run and just wave a white flag or something, some way of uh, just going to Russia and letting them, they'll save him. They won't kill him, but the Ukrainians might kill him for running away, right? So they're probably, if you run away, we're going to kill you. So this is the problem they have there. So somehow he needs to escape that. Why is he there? I mean, it's just the Gestapo. And Jenna said, yeah, I know. And I said, this is just terrible. So her kid's going to probably get killed unless he's can either end the war real quick or figure out a way to get it. But he's not trained. He's like 18. He's not trained for war. They're not going to train him. They're going to give him a rifle and say, here. And he's going to be shitting his pants. And the Russians will kill him if they think he's going to fight, because they kill everybody. So he needs to surrender, find a way to surrender, or get out of the van that they kidnapped him in. But this is what kind of country is this? Oh, there's kids out there. Let's kidnap them. I mean, the U.S. is terrible. This Israeli Iran war and this Ukraine Russia war, where basically Ukraine's just kidnapping their own kids and adults. So it's 16-year-old boys and 70-year-old men. They're picking them up, forcing them in the military to get shot, so they can prolong the war, so Zelensky can make all this money by stealing the money. I mean, there's no reason for this war to be going on. Russia's won. What the fuck are you doing? But MI6 and the CIA don't want to end it because we'll buy weapons. It's insanity. The whole defense contractors, I would just end them. Sorry, you guys are done. It's terrible. It's really a terrible world right now. I honestly don't know where to vacation, and I honestly don't know where to live. I mean, I'm just finding an apartment here, but I don't know if I can stay in the U.S. I mean, we got crazies running it. We're run by the defense contractors and the billionaires who pay off the Congress and the Senate. I mean, this is insane. So this is our problem here. Anyway, I hope she's okay, but even when I tried calling her Saturday, she doesn't answer. And then it's a text here and there. But she did give me the happy birthday, which was very important. So Jenna did, and Daria gave me a nice little, she can't speak English that well, but she was like, happy birthday, Howard, in her broken Russian. So that's all I care about. Don't give me a gift. I know you guys really can't afford that, but you can make sure you say happy birthday to me is good. And then I had to wish everybody, it was International Women's Day on March 8th. So always the day after. So I sent a few of my girlfriends, Irina in Romania, Jenna, of course, Daria, happy Women's Day. So I'm sure they wanted money, but oh well. And again, that's the hardest part we have is we start running out of this, but we have the gold and silver. So that's why I like seeing silver $90 today, $89, and gold back to 52. So now let's get gold to the 8,000 we're waiting for, and let's get silver into the 300-400s where it should be. Then it's go sell a few ounces. So I highly advise as much ounces of silver as you can. And the Rolex is good, the Mantle card, but it's a little harder to turn it into cash. Right now, we need to turn it into cash to go to Kroger's. We need the cash for the credit card. And that's the only thing. You can't really use gold for Kroger's, silver coming down the pike, but they kind of legally have to take the dollar, and you can't go to Kroger's. They're not going to take silver. However, at the little mom and pop restaurants like the barbecue Boneyard is where I go, they will take silver. They'll take it for dinner. So it's starting. So some people know about it. All right, that's about it. Long day. So I'm going to go eat and then go to the club to swim, ride the bike, and then off we go. All right. www.teaserking.com. I went through the basketball. Again, we're getting our feet wet. it's very active with day to day, West Coast, East Coast. You played Monday, now you're playing Tuesday. You got injuries, you got guys sitting out. So there's a lot of variables that we'll have to structure for basketball if we're going to do it. I'd like to try to do it to fill the gap after football. It'll be the same thesis that I use for football in the fact, what are my variables? Who's the best players? We want to bet on who's the Joe Montana, who's the Tom Brady. You're looking for that in every sport. The draft's coming soon. This free agency, it's irrelevant. When you see linemen moving from team to team, it doesn't matter. Kenneth Walker, that's a huge deal for Kansas City. Look for them to win it all next year with that move. And Baltimore, Max Crosby's a huge addition, but you haven't gotten rid of your problem, which is Lamar. And until you get rid of Lamar, it doesn't. You could have Joe Green and Jack Ham and Jack Lambert on your defense and Mel Blount. You're not winning. The Steelers couldn't win with Bradshaw because he sucked so bad until they got Swan and Stallworth. So it's like, just throw the ball, they'll catch it. And Bradshaw really sucked, but that's the thing. But Lamar is worse than Bradshaw, so I don't know. All right, I'm gonna go eat. Have a nice day. www.teaserking.com. Take care.